Once the screen is visible, just give me a thumbs up. Is it full screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So in case of any query or question, you can just post it in the chats, or you can just unmute yourself, because as we said yesterday, the major focus on today's session is also to make it more interactive. After this, we'll be breaking into 2 different sets. The dance team members, Vaishak will give the names of all the dance members. They will stay in this meeting, and I will be initiating a breakout room where the theater team will move. So when I say MYP Arts Unit Planning, so according to me as a facilitator, these are some of the essentials. Which grade we are looking at? What is the duration of the unit? How long are we going to run it? 20 hours or 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 4 months? Because in our school, we run 1 unit for an entire term. For example, there's entire academic year, we divide into 2 terms. I run 1 unit for the entire year because we get 2 periods in a week. That's not enough. So to basically build up those skills, to develop those skills into our students, we need that ample amount of time. So we generally do 1-2 units throughout the year. Then next comes, what are the unit components? Unit components basically refers to the key concept, related concept, global context, the statement of inquiry, essential questions, the things that we discussed yesterday, and assessment criteria. Now, one thing I want to reiterate here is, in terms of assessment criteria, it is given in the guide by IB that all the objectives or the criteria have to be assessed twice in a year. But for example, in our school, we have dance, drama, and music. All 3 come under performing arts. So what we can do as a team is, some of the objectives can be assessed by dance. If, for example, I want to focus on criteria A and criteria D, but I don't want to focus on criteria B and C, but somebody else is assessing them in terms of performing arts, that can also be done. So what kind of assessment objectives or criteria are we going to be looking at? That is also there. One thing which we didn't touch upon in that detail yesterday was the process journal. It is an essential and integral part of MYP Arts. E-portfolio in all the subjects we create a process journal. Process journal is basically, now I read in one of the forums, there was a query by one of the teachers that the IB had asked their students process journal because they felt there was a discrepancy in the work submitted to IB. So in case the e-portfolio that you submit to IB there is a discrepancy, the examiner is not convinced, they can ask for the process journal. So it is a very, very essential document that each student has to maintain. It's not a group thing, it's an individual process journal that one documents. Now there's something called the checklist. In the drive, I've also shared a checklist. It's a very small and a very detailed checklist. It just mentions what are the things and what are those things stand for. And what you can do is, once you make the unit plan, you can just tick them, yes or no, whether I've addressed the key concept, whether I've addressed the statement of inquiry, like that. The second thing is timeline. Now what happens is, we do all the planning, but when it comes to execution, when will I assess my students on criteria A? When will I assess my students on criteria B? That timeline has to be clear with us as a facilitator and has to be given to students also very clearly in the beginning. Then this is the time when we'll be completing criteria A, then criteria B, then criteria C and D, like that. So that we are also, time management and time orientation is a very, very important skill that we learn in IB. Any questions regarding that? Because then I'll be breaking down this into further details. Vaishak, you want to add something here?
No, I think so. You're covered.
Okay. So this is MYP unit planner. This is how it looks. If you see, this is the interactive unit planner that I've uploaded in the drive also. And you can click on each thing. If you click on the key concepts, you will reach the key concepts. If you click on the related concept, it's a beautiful template this is by Excited Educator, and there are beautiful peer resources available on, if you Google, you'll find ample amount of resources. It's completely up to us. How do we do the research and how streamlined our research is? Okay, so these, when I said components of the unit, these are the components of the unit: the key concept, the related concept, the global context, the statement of inquiry, inquiry questions. So what happens is, This is going to lead our content. What are we going to teach our students? Whether we're going to be looking at Greek theater, whether we're going to be looking at Bharatanatyam or Chow for that matter in terms of dance. So that is going to be, so that is, for example, if I'm shaping, let's say I'm shaping a pot. The pot is the IB-ness, what we discussed yesterday as the word, and what we fill inside, the content, is our subject specific terminology, subject specific content, subject specific knowledge. Vaishak, you want to elaborate on any of them?
Uh, not much actually. It's the same actually. So like when we go into construction, like I'll tell, like, you know, especially with dance, there's huge, like yesterday someone was telling how to use the words, the correct
Yes.
words actually, that we'll discuss. So adding on to what Bandhana said, actually it's all about, like yesterday what we discussed, it's about streamlining. Like these subjects are quite vast in nature. Now we have a conceptual lens. We are again further, you know, streamlining it through a related concept. We are coming to a statement of inquiry. The statement actually just shows that, you know, what are we aiming through the unit? Like what is that big idea that we are touching upon? And then through further, you know, inquiry questions, now we are exploring the content, the context, the learning engagement. So that's how the entire, so this is the first part. So the unit plan is divided into 3 parts. One is inquiry, second is action, third is reflection. So whatever we just talked about is part of the inquiry part. Yeah.
Okay, so next page when we come to, as Vaishak was saying, 3 parts. So this is the second part where we talk about the objectives. Objectives basically refer to the assessment criteria, criteria A, B, C, and D. In that, it's completely up to us whether we want to explore criteria A, strand 1, strand 2. We can go in that detail also. That is our baby. Actually, the unit plan is our baby. How do we want to create it? How do we want to run it? Then comes your summative assessment. Now what happens is, what I do and what Vaishak also does it, we follow the same thing that we do for MYP 5, the 4 tasks. We do the exactly same thing for the summative assessment. Now, what we do is we tweak in a bit. Obviously, MYP 1, we do not expect, as we discussed yesterday in detail, the command terms vary. For example, in MYP 1, we just look at describe and analyze. But when it comes to MYP 5, we have to look at critique, we have to look at evaluation. So the command terms increase. So similarly, when we are designing our summative assessment task also, we have to look at those command terms. So I divide my summative task into 4 tasks, but interrelated. For example, what I will do is I will club criteria investigation, the first research, where they do the, you know, they look at artwork of a research artist, and then they do a thorough research, and then I add criteria D also with it. So that instead of having 4 tasks, they can have 2 summative tasks. And it's not compulsory that you need to have 2 formative and 1 summative. There's no compulsion as such. It's completely up to us. How do we want to plan? Because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that whatever we are teaching, at least our students are grasping that. And as I said in yesterday's workshop, formatives are for learning. You can completely change task 1 into a formative. It's completely up to you. In the sense, the research, the inquiry, the critical analysis and everything, you can make it a formative also. It's completely up to you. You can create the performance. Let's say the final criteria C talks about creating the performance. You can keep that as one of the summatives. And then you can keep your evaluation of the performance and all that criteria D as your second summative. But it's completely up to us. There is no hard and fast rule, nothing given by IB that it has to be this. That is the beauty of IB, I think, that it gives us a lot of freedom as a facilitator to explore if things are not going back. So there is a third aspect of the unit planner where we reflect on our learning prior to the planning of the unit, during the unit, and after the unit. So we write our reflection. When we started the unit, what were the things that were there in mind? While doing the unit planner, what were the challenges? What were the strengths? It's not only about challenges, it's also about strength, because appreciation matters a lot. So we also need to appreciate things that we really work out. So if you see in the summative terms, there's something called command terms. Again, if you look at the arts guide, it clearly gives you whether we are looking at describe, whether we are looking at evaluate, whether we're looking at analyze. The command terms play a very, very pivotal role. For example, we were focusing on subject specific terminology. Similarly, our students need to understand what is the command term, what is the aspect of analyze, what is the aspect of critique, how do we critique. Now Command terms also give us a scope for interdisciplinary learning. Like for example, for critical analysis, I always call my language and literature teachers. I said, please come teach my children how to do critical analysis. And in that way, they also understand language and literature, the concepts, and they understand theater also from that perspective. Whenever, for example, I was a guest speaker for one of the maths classes where they were learning integers. So what I did with them was through theater games, I taught them integers, emotions, energy, +1, number line, +1, -1, your energy is increasing. So that way students said, oh ma'am, we never thought, theater and maths could collaborate. I said, see, and similarly, our visual art teacher collaborated with maths teacher for the mandala art, all the composition, angles, measurement. So this is how, and I think instead of running a standalone unit, if you have scope for interdisciplinary learning, that's the beauty of it. Like right now, I have planned a unit. Maths, they are learning profit and loss. So there is an exercise of Forme dell'arte where we as actors, 2 actors are going to sell their product, imaginary products, and then they have to first fix the cost, then they have to market it. But in that marketing strategy, in that performance, and you have to, it's a competition between 2 actors actually. They are learning all the skills of performance, but at the same time, they're understanding. So I tell them, look at your card. How many things did you sell? Did you make profit or did you make loss? So they're understanding maths concept, but through theater. So always make sure that in your unit plan, there is a lot of scope for interdisciplinary learning. Yes, Vaishak, you want to add something?
No, I'll just share the examples of dance when I sit with the group. But one more thing that I keep in mind, like, even before starting planning, I do something like grasp, goal roll. I do that. I do a little brainstorming as to what is the overview of the unit. Okay, now we're getting in the minor components of the planning. But before that, what is the unit about? What do I want? What are the skills to be developed? How will I assess those skills? What should be my final product? So if I have this in mind, then the whole planning, because that gives me a framework. Okay, this is what I want. So I do that also just before, getting into inquiry itself. I just do a small brainstorming. And this one, Badranam is a person project coordinator, so I think she forgot. But this one, what I do is I always see, is there, some kind of an engagement? I keep this in mind before I plan it. So is there some kind of engagement, like where I can bring in interdisciplinary connection, and where, sometimes the child, there is a room and scope for the child to get inspired so that they can, develop, activities for services action as well as personal project also. So I believe that scope also.
Okay, so yes, as Vaishak was mentioning, in our unit planner, like for example, now we completely transformed our unit planners. So we do weekly planning also, learning experience where it is. So I'll come to that later. So there we talk about not only services action, we look at social emotional learning, activities related to social emotional learning. We talk about international mindedness. We talk about learner profile development, and we have specific activities focusing on ATL skills, approaches to learning. So instead of just writing ki the child will develop communication skills, but how? So we give specific example of the activity also there. What activity? And then we have something called once at the end of each term, we have presentations. So for example, theater, I have to create a presentation where I have to upload the work sample of my students. So how did they develop that ATL skill? Not just the ATL skill, but we also look at the sub skill, we look at the cluster, we look at the substrand. It's communication skill, information media literacy, and then get the right information, get the right feedback like that. So we break it down to that level. And we have done something called objective mapping. So what we have done for us is, for example, we have all the criteria of arts on one side. And for each criteria, we've looked at ATL skills. Like for example, criteria A talks about investigation. Which ATL skill best suited for that? Research skill or thinking skills? Then in thinking skills, whether it's creative thinking or critical thinking, like that, then critical thinking with strand, like that, we have done objective mapping with our arts objectives. So it's a very beautiful concept. So it becomes easy for the, we can look at that, which criteria are we working on, and we can straight away put that ATL skill. We can put at the, the substrand. This is the substrand that we'll be looking at. Any questions or anything till now?
Yeah, Roshan.
Yeah. Do you also use Dorothy Hitchcock's work?
Which work are you specifically referring to?
the mantle of the expert or using drama conventions, different drama conventions in
So
academy?
what, it depends. It depends. For example, you are specifically talking about the content of drama. It depends. What unit am I doing? Whether that unit caters to that idea or not. For example, dramatic conventions, I do mention dramatic convention, but it depends what aspect am I looking at. For example, if I'm talking about Greek theater, the dramatic convention of Greek theater, yes, I will be looking at, but not specifically. It depends on the age group, which grade am I referring to? Do I have that space? For example, generally when I create my unit planners, I focus not only on just one theater genre. For example, I would say physical theater. In physical theater, I will give them a glimpse of clowning. I will give them a glimpse of comedy dell'arte. I will give them of dance theater, like that. So in terms of resources, there's ample amount of resources, but not specifically, I've not used those resources. But yes, we do talk about dramatic conventions so that they also have the understanding, as we said, subject specific terminology comes from your dramatic conventions.
Okay, so like how mathematics or maybe the other subjects can be integrated. So like how has been your experience of doing that?
Beautiful. For example, I have collaborated with visual art also. I've collaborated with language and literature. We've collaborated with product design, digital design. Like, for example, what we did was children wrote scripts, they learned script writing, and then they created animation in their digital design classes. So they used the content of theater into digital design for creating their animation stories. So it's beautiful because it also, they don't feel that, you know, drama, what generally comes in their mind when they talk about dance, drama, or music. For example, the one word that comes to music, you have to be a good singer, or either you should know how to play instruments. When it comes to dance, you have to be very, you know, graceful and this and that. And for drama, it's acting. But by interdisciplinary, we bring them and we tell them that there's a connection. It's not just we are doing something, you know, just to make you actors. Sorry, we are not making you actors. We are engaging you into creative and critical thinking and transfer skills. Very, very important. How do you transfer your communication skills into your language literature class? In my class, people who do very good in theater, they are very good in INS, in their debates, in their language and literature. Their language skills improves a lot because they are communicating at this every day. They are not hesitant. So that ways, interdisciplinary really helps.
Yeah. Thank you.
Somebody has raised their hand. Jay Prakash, yes.
Sure.
Hi. When the slide came itself, I had doubt like where is formative assessment. So you were saying that it's our choice, it's not compulsory. We should have that 2 formative and 1 summative. So are we allowed to skip the completely formative and we can have summative? And you were saying that we can have 2 summative. Is it possible?
Okay, that's a very good question. Now I'll come to something else. Formative does not mean a test. For example, if my class comes to me today and they say, ma'am, you know, we're not in the mood to do anything. I said, fine, I'll give you just simple role plays and these are your formatives. Formatives can be done that very moment. You don't need planning for them. They are not tests. They are just for you to, as we discussed yesterday, these are milestones. For example, if I'm doing a physical theater unit and my children, and I don't, formative does not mean that you have to take a test. Okay, a smaller test for the summative, it's not that. For example, in terms of physical theater, if I'm taking a class in physical theater, my formatives can be as simple as that. Doing a non-verbal performance on any one situation. I can give them 3-4 situations. That can be their formative. Just a very simple quiz on, you know, Hastamudra or whatever. For example, if I'm talking about Navrasas, let's say, you know, guess the ras. I show them a picture. Which ras is it? That can be a formative. So don't look at, when I say assessment, summative assessment, no doubt, even that is not pen and paper. It's completely up to us. How do we want to create our summative assessment? But in terms of formative assessments don't have to be formal in structure. If there is a structure, very well and good. If there's no structure, that's completely up to the teacher. You can there and then take a quiz. You can there and then. So formative does not have a limit. So I hope I have answered the question.
And Jay, formative is actually, if you look, the formative is actually, to be very honest, very less for the child. It's more for the teacher to be informed. For example, like when you're asking that, like, you know, what if I don't take a formative? It's well and good enough, but think about it. One whole term you're taking a unit, which is ending up in a summative. And we don't know whether, you know, more than 50% of the class actually knows all the content or not. Is our learning strategy going right or not? just like taking that road trip. But if I take all the milestones, all those boards out, we don't know whether we'll reach or not on time. And so it's more. I love to take formative just so that I know that I'm on track.
Yeah, got it, got it. Thank you.
So now approaches to learning is clear. There's something called describe how the statement of inquiry is connected to the assessment or the unit planner. It's basically when we have created the statement of inquiry, that means how key concept, related concept, and the global context is connected to all the assessments. How we are, for example, what we also do is we mark out that in let's say task 1, we are looking at the key concept and we are looking at the related concept. In our task 2, what are we looking at? So this is majorly how we work it around. Any questions regarding this? Any more questions? Jay Prakash, your hand is still raised. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
With
So I'll take it.
Don't worry. I have few samplers. Once we start, then you can. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take you to the next slide. We will quickly just get over it. Now, if you see here, they have given an example here, research information literacy in order to choose the objective strand. So you have to choose the specific strand. Create references and citation, use footnotes. So this is information literacy ka sub-strand. So the bigger cluster, the skill is in research skill, information literacy is the sub skill, and then the cluster says create references and citation. So your bibliography will come in handy. So this is one of the clear example of how you can work, and this is a very specific activity addressing your ATL skills. So this is how at least have 2 to 3 activities addressing specific ATL skills in your unit planner. This is just one example. You can add in more. Now, if you see action, teaching and learning through inquiry, in the action, you have to talk about the content, the dramatic convention, what the child is going to be doing, what are you going to teach them, the command terms, the subject specific terminology, all that will come in here. Now, when I talk about the learning process talks about the strategies that we will be implementing in our class, like weekly planning, theater games, week 1, followed by warm-up exercises, something like that, script writing, improvisation, like that. How do you plan your entire unit ka term? That is your learning experience, followed by your formative assessment, and followed by your differentiation. Now, differentiation does not mean that catering only to the people who do not understand catering. It also means to catering people who are far ahead and who grasp very quickly. So you have to make sure that you have scope, multimodality. For example, in my task 1 investigation, I give them a clear freedom. They can do their presentation in form of a podcast, video, PPT, Google Doc. It can be a just a video or a Flipgrid video. So I give them that option. So this is called multimodality. It is differentiation. Somebody who's not very good with writing skills can actually create a podcast. Somebody who's not very confident, but somebody who's very confident in presenting can create a video of their research task. Like that, I give them a lot of options. So this brings in differentiation because it caters somebody who can just write and get the right information can create a presentation as well. Slideshows, video shows, anything. So I don't limit, and I just give them the clear guidelines. What is the submission limit that I'm looking at? Because it should not go in number of pages, 30, 40 pages, just like that. Okay, like that. So you can, and I mentioned yesterday called something called universal design for learning. It talks about how we can bring in differentiation in the class in terms of content, in terms of the procedure of teaching, and in terms of other kind of resources that we are providing to our students. For example, I have a student who is not that well versed with English as a language. There might be students. So how do I break down my resources on any specific theater genre to address to that child, or bring in more pictures? Somebody is a visual learner. How do we bring in more images like that? Or somebody learns by, actually doing the thing. So how do I bring that in my class and cater to each student, not just specific group, but each one of them? Differentiation means addressing everyone, not just specific people. It's not addressing specific needs, it's addressing each one. That's my understanding of differentiation. So we're not differentiating. We are differentiating in terms of the content, in terms of the learning, in terms of the procedure, in terms of the process that we are giving to the students. Okay, so then last thing comes the resources. What are the resources? That means the YouTube links, the books, the videos, the references, whatever you have, put everything in the beginning. Share your unit planners with the students so that they have an idea, they can look at it. When they look at it, they'll understand more, all the components, all the command terms. And the last thing which I discussed, reflection prior to teaching the unit, during the unit, and after the teaching the unit. So this is completely an MYP unit planner. Any questions on this? And then we'll break out into our different groups.
I think everyone's ready for plan.
Yes. Any questions or queries on this? So Vaishak, can you tell the names of people who will be staying here for dance?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just initiating the breakout room.
Sukan will be here.
Okay.
Shubham will be here. Jayaprakash will be here. Srishti will be here. And Antonia, just head. Antonia, you're like, would you like to be in the dance session or in the drama session? Like,
Drama. I'm drama.
Can you repeat your name? Who's that?
Jackson. My name is Jackson.
Okay,
Jackson.
Jackson. Okay, head PA Genesis,
head-
right?
head
Yes,
PA
yes.
Genesis, yeah.
Okay. So, Vaishak, can you just repeat the name? Ajay is in theater.
Yeah, Ajay is in theater.
Okay, Arjav Trivedi.
Yes.
Okay, Ayana
Meena,
Shringi.
yeah, yes.
Okay, and there's something who has joined from iPhone.
Oh my God, I don't know.
That I've just joined because I don't know if everybody is experiencing, but I'm experiencing your voices are going again and again. And my
Oh.
network speed is fine. So I don't know why. So I can't hear half of your lecture.
So,
So I'm trying if I can join from two devices. I don't even know
that's
whether I
fine.
can do.
So Rima, you want to join theater or dance?
Who?
For me, you are asking theater.
Theater, okay. Okay, so what about Jay Prakash? Dance?
Jay is for dance. Yeah. Jay will
Okay.
be here.
Roshan? Theater?
Theater.
Okay. Shubham T.
Shubham is in dance.
Shrishti, dance.
Shrishti,
Sukaran
dance.
Gupta, dance.
Yes.
Dance.
Okay. Okay.
Can you let me join through my iPhone, please? It's not getting connected.
Uh, Theater. Arjun theater. Ajay theater. Arjav, I've sent you. You have to just log into the breakout. Yeah. Fantastic. All the dance people in house. Okay. I know there are so much doubts regarding dance. You can ask everything. We'll go step by step. All of you, I hope you have opened the blank template. You can just show me a thumbs up, or Srishti, Shubham, if your videos are on, you can type okay. Okay, great. So you have opened the template. Okay. I'm just going to share my screen. We'll go step by step.
The template is in the mail, right?
Yeah, I have sent you a mail also. I
Yeah.
personally have sent all of you a mail also. In that there is a blank template which I prepared.
We have to download and
Yeah, download it and download. We'll start filling up those. We have 1 hour. One hour. Okay. Just going to share my screen. Okay. Okay. Now, before planning, like what I just told, like, just take a minute, think about the unit, like overview. What is my goal? Like, for example, like this is one of my units. So I just keep the goal like the students will develop a contemporary dance vocabulary that helps them to address thoughts and concepts in the modern world. So the idea is to teach them about contemporary dance. They should just get it just about contemporary dance. Role, students will take the role of dancer, choreographer. Now I'm giving a little bit of choice there. Like, you know, what all different roles within that dance they'll explore. As a dancer, as a choreographer, as a dance critic. Now, what is the situation? Situation is majorly, you know, addressing the assessment. Students need to address the themes of global warming. So I've taken that, you know, they use contemporary dance to address global warming and advocating world peace through contemporary dance. What is the final product? Using the acquired knowledge of contemporary dance. Yes. They'll develop a contemporary dance and develop their skills. Students will create a performance to address this. So basically, performance is the product. Okay. So just have an idea. Now, this is mine completely. You can think about yours, okay, because some of you might be teaching hip hop, some of you might be teaching classical. Doesn't matter. Think about it. What is that one thing that you want to address? Like, you know. So just.
Can you come again? I didn't hear you the last part.
Yeah. So, so what I was telling, just before planning, just think about the unit that, you know, okay, this is what I'm going to teach. These are the skills I'm going to work, 1 or 2 particularly. For that, I'll be assessing them like this. Based on that assessment, I'll get this product. That means our product is basically a performance. Okay, just think about that. Huh? If you want, you can note it down somewhere, just pointer somewhere. Okay. But then I actually covered this thing. Like I told, there are 3 stages: inquiry, action, reflection. So first part we'll go with inquiry. Okay. But do this brainstorming always. It helps a lot, because then you will not get confused while you're planning, because you're very clear. Okay, I'm going to teach them contemporary dance. They're going to address global warming or world peace as a choice. They'll make a performance out of it. I'm very clear with that one line. Okay, overview of the event. Now, let's go to the first. Yeah. So you can fill up your name. The subject group is arts, performing arts, basically. So you can write dance in bracket. You can write performing arts. That's how I write it. Give a unit title now. Give a unit title. So giving unit title also, it's a lot of creativity. Like for example, I've just taken one of my units, that is dance in the contemporary world. So that's the unit title that I've given. You can give any different, like, you know, any title. Just give a title. I would like to hear some of the titles that you use. Just give a unit title. You can share also, chat box, or you can unmute also and share. Just give any title.
Sir, I'm giving the name as road trip because I want to, like in this, I'm working on a unit plan where I'm showing them students that about the cultural dance, how it evolved.
Okay. So road trip, you are giving the name as road trip. Nothing wrong. Yeah. Nothing wrong, Shubham. But like if I think about like, you know, in a coordinator's point of view or something, and I'm saying a dance unit and the title is road trip. Okay. Now there are so many questions that come. You're creating the curiosity, very good. But
evolution of hip hop, is it?
Sorry, evolution of hip hop can be, yeah, because it will see, the idea of the title is definitely it should be catchy and it should provoke that attention, definitely. But it should also in a way subtly, you know, for a other person. For example, say I am a parent of a dance child, and you know, suddenly I'm taking, what is my child learning this term? The unit title is evolution of hip hop. Suddenly they get the idea. Okay, they're going to learn something about hip hop. It can be historical, it can be cultural, it can be anything. So yeah, evolution of hip hop you can convert it like that, or you know, exploring the world of hip hop can be another. Anything, it can be anything. I would just like to hear some other titles also.
So we are creating a standalone unit plan, right?
No, okay. So good. Standalone. You teach PYP also, right?
Yeah, I've done PYP. It's just that they just started this year. They want to start like maybe next year this MYP.
MYP. Okay. So PYP standalone. Now these two are 2 different worlds. Okay. PYP, we have, you know, that transdisciplinary connection, and if the transdisciplinary connection is not happening, we prepare a standalone planner. Here it's different. Here the planning, this is now a subject. This is now a proper subject now. There is a planner. There is a subject, specific skills that we are teaching. There is a content we are selecting, everything. Now we make interdisciplinary connections, again up to us with which subject which we want to. Okay. So that definitely your coordinator and everyone will help you develop that interdisciplinary threads. Don't worry. But yes, this is a planner for the subject. So it is in those terms, yes, it's a standalone planner, but we don't have any other planners. This is the planner we have.
Okay.
Okay. Can I just, Srishti, maybe?
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Poetry in motion. I have seen this title a lot. I knew someone will come up with this. Okay. Again, Srishti, look at your unit title. As a third person, can I get that, is it related to dance? Will I be able to understand? As
Not
a parent,
immediately.
as a child, immediately. And that's what you should bring in there.
Okay.
Okay. Foundation of hip hop dance and its culture. Yeah, Jay, foundation of hip hop dance and its culture. Now, again, it's throwing a very big idea. Okay.
Big idea.
And we have to somehow, we have, see, it's a small game. We cannot make it too, what should I say?
Yeah, I got it.
Too serious also. We cannot make it too abstract also that they can't understand. It should be somewhere in there.
Or so what if I remove foundation of hip hop dance and its culture? Just
Trip to hip hop.
Or if you put exploring hip hop culture through dance, or or if you can put cultural impacts on hip hop.
Because if I mention only culture, it can be beatboxing, hip hop culture goes with varieties
exactly.
of,
so no, that's what I
that
told.
might
It
confuse us.
So you have to find the right words here.
Yeah. So dance I have to mention. Can be DJing, hip hop.
Correct.
Can we write knowing hip hop?
Not knowing hip hop. Okay. Instead of that, if we just phrase that,
exploration of hip hop dance.
Yes, that's fair.
Exploring dance in the hip hop world. If you put like that also.
Yes. Yeah.
Now it's creating curiosity also. It's giving us also that phrase.
Basically, it's the difference of the language.
How you put it with words. See, the unit, it's like naming a movie. It's like naming a movie. Now, your movie name should be a little different also. It should be catchy also. It's the same. Okay. Yeah. So I think, okay, all of you just go for one title. Okay. One unit title, because all of your titles are going to be different. Based on that, we are going to do the next. Okay. Now we are going into the next step, which is inquiry, the first stage, inquiry. Okay. This is where majority of the confusions are. Now select a key concept. Select one related concept. Okay, we'll understand whether we need more than one related concept, but right now select one key concept, one related concept, and one global context that you think will go with that unit title, and based on your brainstorming. So you're brainstorming that overview and the unit title. Now, keeping these two things in mind, now select, choose. Now we are selecting the conceptual lens. You remember, right? Change, communication, identity, aesthetics. 4. Out of this, select one. Okay. Select a related concept. In your that list, you can find those related concepts also. I shared that list.
We can write in our respective.
Please start filling. I'm waiting so that you start filling those templates.
I just had I'm having an issue with the links on the.
Okay.
On the unit
if you have the arts guide, I have sent you the arts guide.
I'll just use that directly. No problem, right?
So use that also. Key concepts are the same. You can find the related concepts there.
Right. Thank you.
And select this one. Once you have selected all the three, you can just write done in the chat box so that I can first here. So we can have so much discussion on this.
Are we selecting global concept as well?
Yes. Select all the three. Now, based on you got your title, say exploring dance in the hip hop world. Now think which key concept do you want to address? Which related concept you want to address? Which global context you want to address?
Can we can choose two key concepts also, or like is it?
No. Okay. This is the difference. So in PYP, we select two key concepts. Yesterday I was taking a session for Bangladesh actually. So concept is equal to big idea. That's central idea. To construct a central idea, you select more than one key concept actually. Here, what we are doing, we are going for a statement. We are further reducing it. We only select one key concept. Here we are not constructing a central idea. Here from the big, how big is the subject? From that we have selected a unit title. That you can consider that like a central idea, which is not a central idea, but it's a broader term that we want to explore. Now we are streamlining it. We just take one conceptual lens, one or two more related concepts to further streamline it. But just for right now, just take one.
So yes, sir, I have written my key concept. So key concept I have taken as culture.
Just tell me your unit title first.
My same as you told me, like exploring hip hop.
Okay, exploring dance through hip hop.
Yeah.
The hip hop.
And
okay, key concept is?
Key concept I have taken culture.
Culture.
No, yeah.
This one we have. This one, aesthetics, change, communication, identity. These are the four key concepts we have in dance.
Yeah.
So among these four, you have to select.
Oh, so I thought like in the subcategory also there are there, no?
No. That's not for us. So it's highlighted. Yesterday, Bandhana told there were four things bolded for performing arts. So among communication, identity, aesthetics, and change, you have to select one.
Okay.
Srishti.
I'm repeating the previous question about having multiple key concepts. So for example, in the entire year, you end up doing 2 or 3 units. Is it necessary to explore all 4 key concepts every year or over a period of 2 years?
No, I'll over the period of, that's what the principles into practice also tells. They clearly tell about related concepts actually. Because key concepts, because imagine I'm in MYP 1. This year, this term I'm learning change. Next term I'm learning change. The next year also learning change. First of all, your learning engagements will get repeated.
Understood.
So that will happen. But the problem comes in related concept. Not many people use all the related concepts. So IB has told this within that 2-year gap, all these, by the time they have a specific number, by the time the child reaches DP, they should cover this many related concepts.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That helps.
Vishak, I'm not able to open this drive link.
What do you need? You can tell me that. Blank template though you have, I mailed you.
The blank template, I have the document, like earlier document which you shared, in which related concepts are there.
I've shared you the arts guide also. In the arts guide also it's there.
Which one? In the same mail?
In same mail where I've shared you the blank template.
Type his name and search in your mail. You will find the mail which he sent. There you can download it.
So I have like two documents. One is PDF, one is Word document. Which one is it? The Word one.
Word document is your blank template, which I sent you. PDF is the arts guide. The
PDF.
latest arts guide.
Okay.
And mine I have posted in the chat.
Okay, let me just see this. Okay, Jay. Same, na? Exploring dance in the hip hop world. Okay. Identity. Okay. Audience and genre. Okay, great. Orientation in space and time. Fantastic. This is good. Orientation in space and time is something that performing arts does not use much, which they should actually. Good. So let's see how your unit is going to shape up. The others, Shubham, Srishti, and Sugan, once you are also ready with all these three, then we can move to the next part, which is construction of statement of inquiry. Jay, in the meantime, you can start constructing the statement of inquiry. So the picture relates. Use the key concept, use the related concept, use the global context, and frame the statement of inquiry. It's a statement of inquiry. It's just a statement. And
Got it.
how will you assess the statement? I use a technique which I've learned from my senior educators. Use this line. The students will learn that. First of all, you make this statement of inquiry. This
Okay.
art explores this, or art identifies whatever. But then, just to check whether it's right in the right sentence, use this word phrase in between before. Students will learn that.
So, sir, I have taken communication as my key
Communication.
concept,
Fantastic.
and related concept I have taken presentation,
Good.
and global context same. I have taken orientation and in
In
space,
space
and
and time. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
So now,
Super.
sir, can you help me into create a
And
statement of
statement
inquiry?
of inquiry. So,
Yeah.
Shubham, now with these three words, now you have what? Communication,
Question. Yeah.
presentation,
Yes.
now orientation in space and time. Now,
Space and time.
orientation in space and time has a definition also. You have to
Okay.
take out that definition. So I'll just go on to my next slide to just show you a sample. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you can see here, okay. I've taken communication. I've selected three related concepts. Okay. And my global context is personal and cultural expression. So if you can see, I've taken the definitions that what is communication according to IB. Someone asked me yesterday also, I don't remember who it was, whether they can use the word convey and everything. Just to read the definition, involves the activity of conveying information or meaning. Effective communication requires a common language. So this is what is given in the IB document. Similarly, with expression and presentation, what will the students develop with this? Personal and cultural expression. There is a line called artistry, craft, and creation, particularly from the IB guide. Now, using this, what did I do? Art helps in communicating. I used the word communication of our understanding, interpretations, expressions about the modern world.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, same Jay, if I use that phrase, students will learn that art helps in communicating our understandings, interpretations, and expressions about the modern world. Though I'm talking about contemporary dance, I've made it a little more general. Now, see, this statement of inquiry I can relate it with visual arts also. Yes. I can relate it with drama also. Yes. I can relate it with music also. Yes.
Yes.
So now it has become generic across the portfolio. But at the same time, it is art related. Anyone who sees this statement of inquiry can understand this is from an art subject. Okay, my chat box is getting filled. Students will learn that the former portrays the genre and history of. Jay, first give me your statement of inquiry. Students will learn that, leave that, but just give me the statement of inquiry. Then we'll check.
Protects the genre and history of dance, hip hop dance.
Performer portrays the genre and history of dance in hip hop.
Hip hop dance, actually.
Now this is okay. Now I'm just taking, since Jay has given me an example, I'm just working on this. Okay. Jay, now performer portrays. I'm just copy pasting your this thing.
Yeah.
The chat box again. Huh? So
Genre.
this is your statement of inquiry, correct?
Yeah.
So I've just posted now. Okay. Now, Jay, think. Can this be connected with visual arts? No, because it's quite dance specific. Okay. Let's make it broader, because you're using a key concept, a related concept in a global context that is broader in terms. We're not talking about dance right now. So let's rework it. It comes like this only. This is a conceptual understanding. This is what you're going to do. Now, instead of performer, what word can you use? Can you use the word art? Art portrays the genre and history
Yes.
of the world. If I take dance from there, can I make art portrays the genre and history of the world? But can it go
Particular
with what?
culture?
But can it go with your unit? So your unit is talking about exploring the world of dance, exploring dance in the hip hop world. You're taking orientation. So Jay, just give me your overview. What do you want the students to learn? We're coming back to
The students will be learning about the origin of hip hop dance and its culture. So why it is formed, what is the purpose of the dance? I mean, hip hop dance. Why? How it is? What we are actually conveying through that dance form.
Okay. Now, Jay, what you told me is your statement of inquiry leading to that. There is a small gap now. Can you try rephrasing it now? This is what you want. Now, this is your statement of inquiry. There's a gap in between. Where you're talking about a timeline evolution of a dance culture or something.
Maybe genre I can replace with culture.
Genre you can replace with culture.
Because I think I mentioned hip hop, so it's already a genre, right?
Correct.
Over there.
Correct.
I
Correct.
think I can replace that.
Okay. So art portrays the culture and history of the world.
Yeah, that would be great.
What? Anyone else?
Mine is ready, but I think my SOI is a bit weak.
It's okay. We are here to.
I just put it on chat.
So, unit title: Storytelling through dance. I'm using this unit, by the way. This.
Oh, lovely.
Okay. Identity, narrative, expression, orientation, and space and time. My God, everyone is with orientation, space and time. Students will discover their. Okay. Srishti, students will discover. Forget about students. Just give a statement. Students will learn that is the phrase we're using to check the statement, but it's not part of the SOI. Okay. Students will discover their ancestral journey and its influence on the. Okay, this is what they're getting out of it. Now construct a statement. Now construct a statement using the words identity, narrative, expression, and a gist of what is orientation in space and time. So what ideally I do is this. I take the key concept, I write it, communication, expression, personal concept. From there, I take the definition from IB, I paste it here. Okay. So that I'm clear. Now I start interconnecting the words. So it's the language is actually about interconnecting those words and making that idea a little more broader. Just try it. Okay. In your blank template, put identity, write a concept, orientation, space and time, take out the definition, paste it. Try color coding if you want. That means communication, you can put one color, related concept, and you can say, if I start here, I can color code communicating, interpretation, expression. So expression leads to the global context. Interpretation, we are talking about the related concept. Communicating, I'm talking about the key concept. I can color code it also. Sugan, going good? Don't worry, don't worry. Don't worry. Jay, if you, have you rephrased your this one statement? Yeah.
Oh, I added.
I was just taking time how to rephrase it, like how to phrase it.
With now, see, this is a problem. I also face the same thing because we always think in terms of our dance language.
Yeah.
Now we are talking about a broader thing. Okay. So, just see, what is your key concept? Which is the key concept you have used?
Change.
Change. Is the word change reflecting anywhere in your statement? No. Okay. What is the related concept you have selected?
Expression and innovation.
Expression. Those words, no. Global context, which one?
Personal, cultural
expression. So artistic, craft, creation, cultural language, all that. But that's also, now you understand. This is your objective. I understand. This is a part of your objective. Now using these words, try phrasing a statement. Forget about dance. If you want, first write dance, this thing, then we'll convert it into a broader. But these words should come in your that state.
Mine, a performer portrays the culture and the history of hip hop dance. So I took that dance hip hop word, hip hop dance form.
Okay, no, Jay. Again, what is the key concept? Identity.
Identity. So I thought a
no.
performer can be an identity.
You have to use that's what I told. Either use the word identity, or IB has given the definition of what identity is. You have to use a phrase from that. It's using their language. It's not using our subject language here. We are talking the statement inquiry is purely an IB terminal. The statement actually, we're talking something broader now. So, hey, identity. What is your related concept?
It's audience and.
Do you see that?
Jonathan.
Do you see that? No, it's not.
Yeah, I took Jonathan out of it. Sorry.
You took audience also out of it. It's also not there. Culture, what is your orientation in space and time? Again, where I don't see it.
History, I think.
Again, take the definition for what IB has given about orientation in space and time. Select the phrase from there. It's not about bringing out new words. It's about using the words which is already there, but rearrange it to what we want.
So I have a doubt here. So when we are framing the statement of inquiry, I mean about the global concept. So I have taken the orientation in space and time. In that they have expanded its culture and history, time, all those things. So I should not use the exact word.
You can use the exact words if it's making sense in your statement of inquiry. Yes, Ajay?
Sorry, actually there was some network error, so I was out of the room. Can you just
I don't know whether I don't know if Arjun is also. Michael, if you can just send Arjun to the breakout room.
Okay. Okay, I got it.
it. Fantastic. Just keep the statement quite simple. Don't make it too tough. Keep it very simple. If you're doing it for the first time, just use the same words. If you're taking identity, say audience, personal and cultural expression, just use those words only. It'll be easier. Yeah.
I'll just rephrased it.
Yeah.
Check.
Okay. Now, good. Okay. Because I can see change. That's your key concept. Culture is your related concept. And the ways of expression is what you're taking personal and cultural expression.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's make it broader. Okay, so how hip hop changes the dance culture and becomes the way of expression. Now let's take hip hop out of there and let's say art changes. Art changes the culture.
Okay.
Art evolves. Art changes. Or you can even say art changes the culture.
Okay.
Art changes cultures. Let's phrase something.
Evolves through time.
No. Art change. Let's use this only. Let's break it down from here. Then we'll try rephrasing it. So art changes the culture and the ways of expressions. Just let's write it. Let's then rephrase it. Art changes. Yeah. Just right. Handling and portraying the history of a journey. Shubham, is this your statement of inquiry?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is that right?
Art changes, yeah. Okay, Shubham, you can also see what I'm going to do in his. I'm going to do the same thing with your statement also. Art
Okay.
changes the culture and the art change.
Ways of expression.
Okay. Now think about it. I'm just not quite happy with this state. It means we have arrived at something good. Now we can make it a little more better actually. So art changes. Anyone wants to give an input to this? How to make it more, relatable and just to improve this? Whatever Sugan has arrived at a good statement now. Art changes the culture and ways of expression. So you can see the key concept there. You can see the related concept there. You can see the global context there. What if you write art influences changes in cultures and ways of expression? Can it bring more sense? Art influences changes in cultures and ways of expression.
It's basically what I thought of, how hip hop had started, like as in my gen work, in my
Correct.
in my what unit is evolution of hip hop.
Evolution of hip hop, how
So
it
how it's
originated in the
evolved.
Afro-American
So
communities
how
and
they
how
can
it came.
yeah, how they
Correct.
can let
What is it talking about? That art can influence cultures and it can influences ways of. So you can write that art influences changes in cultures, or art brings changes in cultures and ways of expression.
I think
Art brings changes in culture and ways of expression. Now it is going with your unit also, what you want to deliver also.
so art brings changes in culture
And ways of and new ways of expression, or you can write ways of expression also. Art brings in changes in culture and new ways of expression. So now it's good enough for you to explore hip hop. Say as a music teacher, for me to explore abstract contemporary music. For another visual art teacher, maybe to um, teach something like modern art or something like that. So it can go with everyone. You're getting my point. Once your statement is there, now it so PYP, we have transdisciplinary, we have interdisciplinary connections. So your statement should give that scope to make interdisciplinary connections actually. Okay. So states an artistic narration of our personal journey strengthens our cultural identity. Okay. Srishti, can you repeat? I remember identity.
Wait, I'll put it again.
You can just tell me also.
So identity is the key concept. Then we have narrative and expression for related, and orientation in space and time.
Orientation, space and time. IB's definition of orientation, space and time. Personal journeys.
Personal journeys, histories.
Expression is missing, by the way.
So is it needed to have all of them? Have to be there. Okay.
Then it'll be more strengthened. Then there is a reason. See, that's why I told you to select one key. You remember when I started, I told you to select one.
Yes.
The reason being, if the statement is not strengthened, that means you should have one more.
Okay.
That it's just like going for grocery shopping actually. When this many ingredients are there, then you know, oh, then I need something else. Then you take one. That's how you see it.
Yeah. Should I ask cultural identity and expression?
No. So wait, again, let's work on this also. You use that phrase. Students will learn that an artistic narration of our personal journey strengthens our cultural identity. You understand the statement as such, there is no grammatical mistake, but the statement is not strengthened. We're trying to strengthen the statement.
Okay.
What if art helps to narrate our personal journeys and express our cultural identity? I just rearrange the words.
Mm-hmm.
Art helps. I'll just write it here. If you can
Yeah.
write it.
I'm
if you can
writing it
type
down. Yeah.
Art helps in narrating our personal journeys and
Personal
expressing
journeys.
our cultural identity.
Ah.
You got it. Now what will use that same sentence? Students will learn that art helps in narrating our personal journeys and expressing our cultural identity. Can
Yeah,
go
that makes
across subjects now.
Yes.
So that's what. Fantastic. Okay, Srishti is done. Jay, I think so, has done. Sugan has done. Shubham, your statement.
Yes, sir. Because my key concept is communication. So from that, I have taken conveying, and related concept is presentation, so portraying, and orientation and space and time. Like it is my global context. So it's like history and personal.
So
that's it.
select the correct word. History of a genre. Like what I like history.
History of genre why I have taken is because as you are telling me, like it
Put the
should be
words
interconnected.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay, he's a person. What if I tell art genre helps in portraying and conveying personal journeys? Again, history, you know, the art genres help in, if you can write it, okay? And art genres, art genre helps in conveying and portraying what did he say? Art genres helps in conveying and portraying personal journeys. Okay. Now genre is your related concept. Communication is your, you can use communicating also, by the way. Okay. Art helps in communicating personal journeys. As simple as that also. Art helps in communicating personal journeys.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Then also it becomes more. Okay. I think all of us are having a very good statement of inquiry.
Yeah.
I will take a little 15 more minutes so that we can do this. Now, factual, conceptual, and debatable question. A lot of confusion regarding this. I like to see it like that. What questions? That means immediately, if I talk about contemporary dance, what is contemporary dance? What are the elements used in contemporary dance? Factual question. That means if I Google it also, I'll get it. So those are fact-based, skill-based questions. Conceptual is when you explore. How am I able to identify between classical and hip hop dance, or between classical and contemporary dance? Now I'm conceptually, I'm compare contrasting, I'm delving deeper into it. Conceptual question. Debatable is classical dance relevant in today's scenario? Debatable question. There might be yes also, there might be no also. So just frame one question each. Ideally you should have three factual, two conceptual. Will always give you depth to your unit planning. Try to keep one or two debatable questions, but right now just for our understanding, you can, now you have your unit title, you have your key concept, related concept, global context, you have your statement of inquiry. Frame one factual, one conceptual, one debatable. if you're new to constructing these three questions, easy is what questions usually, not there's no compulsion, but what questions usually come into factual, how questions mostly come into conceptual, debatable is it, do you, to what extent, these phrases come in debatable questions. Okay, someone has to. So factual. What are the different dance forms historically used? Telling, okay. Okay, sister. Factual
I'm
is
still
good.
thinking of a conceptual
you,
one.
you are still debating. Fantastic debatable question. Don't think too much, even if it's going a little bit wrong here and there, it's okay. Conceptual. To what? Okay, sister, your conceptual question turned into a debatable question. To what extent makes it a debatable question? To what extent will the costume setting affect the, or if you can write, how will costume
Okay.
setting and how will, then you're exploring conceptually. To what extent it's opening up into a debatable question.
Okay, I see. But it can be used as a conceptual question, right?
It can be, but I do not see it any relevance to the unit.
Affect the
For example, if
storytelling?
I, yeah, exactly. To what, so if I write, how will costume setting and makeup impact the storytelling in dance?
Hmm.
Conceptual.
Is that better?
Yep, fantastic. Now you see, now you're using this question. Understand, we are not writing this question and keeping it somewhere. We are going to use this question. A lot of, where I've seen many of them have this problem is, a lot of people don't understand why do we actually frame this question? Why do we need it? Actually, these questions help us to explore. Now, when I, next slide, when I actually go into the learning information, I'll tell you how to use these questions also. A lot of people write these questions and keep it there only. They don't use it. You have to use these questions. The questions are framed for a reason.
Right.
Okay. Anyone else also? Yeah. Okay. So just due to the time lag, I'm just going ahead. You okay? Someone else. Okay. Factual. What is hip hop dance? Fantastic. Conceptual. How hip hop brings change. How did hip hop bring change in society? Or how did hip hop evolve? How did hip hop evolve? It's also conceptual actually. How did hip hop dance evolve? It's also conceptual. Does hip hop evolve? Does hip hop evolve through time? So again, change. Did hip hop dance evolve with time? Did, yes, there can be yes, there can be a no. But this, it's not a very strengthened debatable question. For example, if I the to what extent does or if I if I put a question, does hip hop dance helps? Yeah, does hip hop dance opens more ways of expression, or does hip hop dance enables us to build stronger ways of stronger expression or stronger ways of expressing ideas, then it's a debatable question. Because then you'll have your contemporary dancers and classical dancers also, exploring. So the debatable question, you do class debates in your class whenever you get time, 5 minutes, 20 minutes or something, do class debates. Use these debatable questions there. Do a class-led debate. You'll find amazing resources and evidences that you'll get. Okay, Jay, factual. What is hip hop? Again, what are the elements of hip hop? Fantastic. How can we portray the culture of hip hop through dance? How can we portray the culture of hip hop through dance? Okay, fantastic. Okay, debatable. Is hip hop dance? Can hip hop dance be performed using different music genres? Debatable. Yeah, yes, Jay. Or you can even write it, rephrase it. To what extent does music genres affect hip hop dance? Can also be a debatable question. Okay, fantastic. I think so. Most of them are. Shubham, I'm waiting for yours also. Don't worry. Now I'm just going into the next.
I have put my like in the chat. I have.
Okay. What is hip hop dance? How hip hop helps to change perceptions, or how hip hop helps to how hip hop helps in developing interpretations, conceptual. Can hip hop influence Gen Z? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. To what extent? To what extent can hip hop influence?
Yeah.
That can
Because,
also.
it has influenced us, but today's generation is totally different.
Okay.
They had their mode swings. So yeah.
Okay, great. Next, I'm going to criteria of this one, assessment and summative relation. I'm just going to just show you an example so that you will understand. So this is, see, I'm not taking anything. Criteria, I copy pasted from the arts guide strands. Like yesterday I told you, year 1 criteria, what all strands are there. Year 2, what is there. In that arts guide which I've mailed you, it is there. Okay. What did I do? Task 1. So task 1, investigation. What is my task I'm giving? Analysis of 2 types of performance and from two different countries executed in the same theater. How was it made suitable for theater space and presented in a PDF format? Now in that, what I've done is just a little bit of micromanagement. I've just said that an individual investigation using the concepts and subject specific terminology of performance of 2 artists, including research about the artist and the context at the point of creation. That about the artist, not necessarily about the artist, but about the creation. Like what interpretation, what perspective analysis does it give? Critical analysis of the contemporary dance vocabulary used in that performance. So they have to use subject first. This is an investigation report that they have to submit. Okay. So if you're teaching MYP 1 or something, it will not be this much. It'll be just like describing the performance, outlining the elements used in the performance. Those can be your 2 major things that you look for. Objective. The investigation will demonstrate the students. Now, what does the investigation? Now, investigation, task 1 is there, criteria A is there, we did an investigation. But what will the student gain out of it? What is it reflecting? The investigation will demonstrate the students' knowledge and understanding of the artwork and how it has been developed using contemporary vocabulary. Okay, and then I've given this thing also. Forget about the ATL skill, don't need to mention that. I go for a lot of micromanagement in my planners. No, you can keep it as simple. So criteria, strand, what is the task? What is the relation between the strand and the task? That is the 3rd column. Any doubts about it? This is easy. I think I can go forward with the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This one. Okay. So Bandana ma'am had explained approaches to learning. I do it in a different way. I feel it very simple. I make it into 3 columns. What is the task? What is the ATL skill? What is the substrand? What is the criteria assist? Very clear. So Jay, for my formative is here only. So I do my formative, ATL, everything in one go. So I do a formative assessment. Critical thinking is being assessed. Substrand is drawing reasonable conclusions, considering ideas from multiple perspectives. Criteria 8.2 is assessed. Simple. Can I go ahead? This is also something simple. You can fill it up on your own. Okay, great. Now the major part. This is where all Now from inquiry, now we're moving to the second stage, action. This is where the learning engagements come. So if you see, I've divided into task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4. Okay. Now, content. So like I told you, brainstorm first. What all do you want to now teach? Now Srishti has selected storytellings in dance. So how is she going to introduce the unit? What is the first thing she's going to address? What is the second thing she's going to address? What is the third thing? After the third thing, is there a formative? All this comes under it. Okay, I'm just going to, so I divide it into two big ideas. Now, for example, Srishti is taking storytelling to dance, and the others, you're taking hip hop. Okay, hip hop culture, evolution of hip hop, whatever. What all do you want to explore? So your big idea can be, say, tracing hip hop culture, how it started and everything. So, your second big idea is, exploring the techniques used in hip hop. So these are big ideas under which smaller things can come. For example, see, big idea, understanding contemporary dance. In that, I would written identifying differences between classical and contemporary, inquiring into ideology of contemporary dance, inquiring into classical based contemporary, exploration of contemporary dance performances. Big idea 2 is developing contemporary dance. So first is understanding contemporary dance, second is developing dance. So under that, what all learning engagements can explore. And I do a week-wise planner. I don't know how many schools do a week-wise planner. Some of them do, some of them don't do. But if you do a week-wise planner, then you're sorted for the entire term actually. So now, Srishti and all the others, the ones marked in green, if you remember, are what?
Factual.
My factual questions. Now I'm using my factual question. This is where most of them, get off tangent. The questions are there, but we don't know where the questions are. So you see, first is what is contemporary dance? Prior knowledge. I do a, use of visible thinking routine. I extract what is their current knowledge about contemporary dance. So within the question, now I'm exploring the learning engagements. Getting now. So once you start filling out, just keep this in mind. Okay. We'll be sharing the recording also with you. The last part is differentiation, content, process, and product. Okay, we'll have a little bit of discussion on this. Content, it's easy for us, by the way, compared to visual arts and the other something, it's easy for us to develop differentiation. Content, now we have task 1. For example, Sugan, there is one of your student, okay, he has to submit task 1, criteria A, he has to submit an investigation report. The student is from Germany, doesn't know English. Okay. And how will you assess? What will you do?
So he doesn't understand English.
He doesn't understand English.
Okay. So
he's a good dancer, fantastic dancer.
Hmm.
Okay. Now you have to assess criteria A also. The others are submitting investigations. The student doesn't know how to write English. He's on EAL support, English as additional language support. What would you do? This will happen to all of us, by the way, when you actually explore, the children who actually take an MYP 5 and 4 and 5 dance, they will have some or the other, sometimes with writing, sometimes with presentation also. What will you do?
We could ask help from the language teachers if there is any.
That is one possibility, but
it takes a lot of time.
See, understand. This child is really good in dance. He knows the subject also. He understands it also. There's a problem only in communication.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we use a translator?
Think about. See, all of us sitting here, we are thinking that this investigation will only be written.
Okay.
Why? It can be a video also.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Is it only should be a paper document, or it can be a video?
It can be a video also. Or what process? Yeah. So in the content, I can for example, like say I'm teaching also the history. You're teaching now. You're talking that it started in Afro-America. This. One is you can talk about it. Second is maybe you can show pictures like a comic thing. You can show it also. It can be easy for students like that to also conduct. So that is regarding the content. Like what content am I delivering? What differentiation I'm bringing in that content? How for everyone in my class. Processes, for example, now this is common for all of us. There is a child who dances fantastically in class and they are progressing, they've moved on to the next level. There's a child who has never danced. Okay. Now that child also has to attend criteria C. They also have to create work. How will they create work? They've never danced. They're finding it so difficult to cope up with the dance classes and the routines also. What will we do? That's where the process comes in.
Provide extra.
Exactly. No, we can't provide extra within the class. No? Always not possible. Practically think about it. I can pair up with one of the good dancers. Much more easy, because then there will be some kind of a collaboration. Or others are preparing, say, 1 minute video. I can ask this child to prepare 30 seconds.
Then deadlines maybe sometimes.
Deadlines, extensions. Yeah, deadlines, extensions. Maybe we can review it also. We can do a prior hand review also. So this is regarding the process. Product is what I told. If it is a, say, 1 minute video or this thing, or using this many. So say you have to be very specific. For example, if you're teaching hip hop and the presentation is preparing a hip hop, at the end of the day, they are performing. So you have to clearly mention that, these are the 5 techniques that I want to see in that performance in terms of skills that is being displayed. Now that child is not good, you can go, you just need to show me 3 or 2, which is also fine, because you are assessing the child's level. Of course, a comparative thing, but also with the child also. You can't give them a.
But if a child is equally talented, like you said, child is very talented and he's very good at dance. So, and if if you pair up with a person, maybe a friend or someone who can help. So, then is it necessary to reduce the forms, like you said, instead of 5, show us 3 or 4?
See, this is according to the student and your call also. This is according to the student and your call also.
Yeah.
Both ways helps. Okay. Fantastic. So differentiation also we have done. Again, resources also, like what Bandhana ma'am shared, like I've seen in number of planners across the globe where they just put video link, or articles and blogs, websites. Very few of them I've seen them using it. But my point is, if you're putting that link there, where are you using it? Are you putting a resource where it is being used either by you in the class or by the student while preparing? Think about it when you put it. I'll just show this. Okay. I'll just go back to one of our learning emails. So when I give my week-wise planning, for example, somewhere here. See, for example, if week 5, students will be introduced to the famous contemporary choreographer Pina Bosch and Uday Shankar, and they'll do a group presentation, international mindedness. So when I give the videos, I'll give them V1, V4 is being used in this week. So I do that so that I mark it also. So that when your coordinators ask, why do you use these links? Where is it being used? You can tell that it's being used in week 5 under this factual question or under this conceptual question. You should be able to answer. Okay. The last is reflection. Okay. Reflection also. Now everyone is running with the learning engager. Reflection is last line. Everyone just writes 2 lines and khatam, unit plan is done. This part can actually change your unit plan if you actually focus on it. Talk about the goal. What do you want to achieve? Talk about the learner profile attributes. Not every learner profile, specifically what all will be inculcated. Is there scope for unit-led service? It should be there. There should be unit-led service actually. For example, if they're exploring, say, contemporary dance movement, now with that, what else can they do? Can we create a task where they're raising awareness against something like deforestation, or so last year 2 of my 1 or 2 sections. One section did something on climate change. One section did something on gender equality, using the same, but it was totally student-led. So this is a unit-led service. Try incorporating unit-led debates. See, assess this unit, how strong it is. Like by learning hip hop culture and everything, does it provide any inspiration so that one child can take this up as a personal project or something when they reach class 10? Is there interdisciplinary connections? If so, interdisciplinary connections come what week it comes in what? For example, like say one conceptual question. Srishti, you had one conceptual question, no? Make up this thing.
Yes.
For example, yeah, in that conceptual question, what if in drama class they are exploring elements of production, theater production? You can integrate. There's an interdisciplinary connection between the subjects also.
Right.
Performing art itself, use of props, or else you're talking about, say, using poetry as forms of storytelling in dance. You can connect it with language and literature, with English
Right.
subject. So you have to discuss with the English teacher, and then you have to mark it also. In which week are you going to do this?
Right. Maybe with the INS teacher with the history lesson.
Yes.
They
Again, hip hop culture. Go to the INS, to the what we used to call social studies, IP we call it INS,
Yes.
individuals and societies. Go trace what are they exploring in that. Can we develop an interdisciplinary connection with them also, what they are teaching? What if they're talking about Indo-American Revolution or something? Or what if they're talking about racism? You can directly make a connection to them. Okay, fantastic. So so what you can do is, majorly I've covered whatever we have to consider. We have constructed the central idea and everything. We have made the factual conceptual. Now what you need to do is fill the criteria of assessment, the relation, the learning engagements, the reflection, which I think so you will be able to do it on its own. This requires a little more time to think and brainstorm and bring in resources. What you need to do is you need to prepare this unit plans, and you all have my mail ID. You can send it. I can give a review, and we can strengthen the unit plan a little more. Anything else you want to ask me? It's 8:15, exactly like how it was. It took 15 minutes.
I do have a couple of questions, but
Sure.
if we don't have time, I'll just
No. Please ask. I am here. That's not an issue.
It was more to do with the assessment process.
Huh.
So as we all know, all people have different calibers, different potentials. Now, when you assess them, if one of my students is able to do 3 pirouettes from the beginning of class, and by the end of term, he's still at 3 pirouettes, whereas the other one has 0 pirouettes going to 1.5. How, for me, that in criteria B, for me in criteria B, like in terms of one technique, and this is very simple, I think, thing.
Now, Srishti, again, criteria B, developing skills. What do they submit? They submit process
journals.
Okay. Now, IB has this. Now, MYP Arts have me and Bandhana took a earlier session for art journal itself. MYP believes process over product. That means if your child's performance is a little bit down, but in his investigation and in his process, he has shown great. Overall, he gets better grades.
I understand. Okay.
Now, see, how can I ever now imagine my child can only do 1 pirouette. Then there is a dancer who can do 10 pirouettes there. Okay. Now, where will I assess? Investigation to whatever both of them have submitted, I'll assess on that. Criteria B is process journal. They'll develop process journal extracts. I've assessed them on that also. Criteria C is the only one where they show that visible performance, where that one child can use 10 pirouettes and the other child is using 1. But how much, on what basis? Like, again, what is the criteria C strand talking about?
Creating.
Demonstrating. The command word is demonstrate. Demonstrating.
Okay. So create, not just create. So it's demonstrating.
No. The command term is demonstrate. The criteria C is creating or performing, under which there is a strand.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
So I am assessing based on the strand only. In the strand, is it mentioned that the child who is doing 10 pirouettes, I can give him an extra grade? No. So based on what the child see, how the Bandhana will tell you, she is also an examiner. What does the examiner look? The child has, for example, say last year's this unit, art inspired by nature. So I prepared this thing, an investigation report that how nature has impacted dance, and how dancers draw inspirations from nature. I've taken, say, Aditi Mangaldas' say Lost in the Forest, one work, for example, and I've taken that as a case study. I've come down, I got an idea now that mine will be addressing, say, deforestation. Now I come to my process journal. For that, like, what all did I do? I started with an initial critical analysis. I developed a contemporary vocabulary for it. These are the 3 major points of my performance. This is how it was going to start. This is the middle portion. This is the end portion. Now I make a performance out of it. Okay. Which is the video. Now, in the end, what will I do? Evaluate. I'll evaluate this work now. What all has it addressed? What all it can address? What all could have been improved? Which are the ATL skills I've developed through this process? Right, this is that. Now, as the examiner, what will I see? The investigation, how he or she came into that artistic institution and that point of start. What all skills did they acquire for that? And is it visible in that video? Whatever they have written, is it visible in the video?
Right.
Fantastic. As an examiner, for me, that's a 7 or a 6 or a 7, to be very honest.
I get it.
Now, because if you go to the PRC, you can see there are samplers of this one e-portfolios.
Right.
There are
yes.
samples where the child has performed amazingly, but they have still the examiner has given only 5. But when you go to this one first task and second task, then you can understand first task, second task, the third task there is no alignment.
Yes.
The performance is fantastic, but it has no alignment with the first and second task.
Yes. So as Vaishak has mentioned, it is very, very important that whatever we write, there is an evidence supporting it. Like I got my one of my students' work assessed by Vaishak, and I predicted a 7 for that child. Vaishak was like, my God, she has not left for room for anything. Like, for example, from costume designing to script annotation to everything, the child had annotated images, evidences, process journal extracts, everything there. So once the examiner looks at it, examiner will be like, my God, the child has actually done it. So what makes the difference between that 5 and a 7 is not what the child has written, but how much that written material is supported by explicit annotated evidences, the importance of bibliography, the importance of process journal, documenting everything. And in your task 2 also, in the process journal, apart from sending the written document, there is an optional document where you can upload videos of the child actually doing the improvisation, focusing on the development of the skills and technique. You can have that. So here, in terms of differentiation, for example, in MYP 1 to 3, if the child is not very well versed with process journal writing, some people are not very good with literary skills, they can do their process journal in a video format, in a podcast format. That is where multimodality or differentiation comes in. So we are giving them opportunity to express themselves in their own comfort. So because we have to look at what is the content that they have given. So that is the thing.
Yeah.
Can you also please throw? Okay, 1 minute. Can you please throw some light on the orientation, like when you actually orient this parents for the first time for MYP or for MYP 1 or even 5, whatever? Just a brief introduction can you give? How do you conduct those orientations? So it might help the new teachers to plan their orientation.
Vaishak, you would want me to take this?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. The most important part of orientation is that the parents first understand what is MYP art to do with. We have to get them out of the notion that art is all just about co-scholastic activities or just a hobby that the child would want to carry or do it at their own will. We have to introduce this as a subject. When we are introducing this as a subject, we first give them a clarity on that how important, what equal weightage has IB given to them with respect to math, science, or any other subject. That is one major point to be brought in. Then we talk to them about the kind of assessments that happen and the importance of process which takes them through this journey. So with various examples that our students would have done in the past, or if it is a first session for you, you could rather pick up examples from the internet where importance to process has been given and what skills are developed during the process. We talk to parents more about importance of skills. We give them examples, like they're say going to a professional field and talking about interviews. What is an interview if you're not able to express yourself? Your communication skill is not strong enough. So these are the subjects that help us to develop these communication skills. These are the subjects that help us to develop focus and concentration. So when you are doing certain movements in dance, or when you are performing theater show, that is when you develop certain skills which may be useful for you to focus on academic subjects as well. So these are the kind of activities that we help parents do. So there are times when we do these orientation sessions where we make parents do certain activities. The way we did a unit planning session with you, there was an engagement where every one of us could delve into the unit plan and see how does that work. Once you experience it, you are able to come to a conclusion, yes, that I am strong enough. You have to buy that fact to be able to sell it. So you buy that thought that, okay, this is a subject, and you sell it to the parents by saying that you get involved into one activity and then reflect on what skills have you developed. So parents, when they reflect on the skills that they've developed, helps them understand that, okay, yes, there's a lot happening while we are doing dance and drama as well. When we are doing visual arts, there's a lot happening. It's not something, give them a very clear understanding that we are not copying anything. We are not copying a performance that may be available on the internet. Here, your child gets an opportunity to create something new. And this is the age of innovation. This is the age of creativity. And these are opportunities given to the child. So I think
Okay.
once a parents buy that fact, they are able to convince their kids as well. As many examples that can come in, and hands-on experience for the parents, that should help. That
Just
was
to
my
add to Ruchira,
Very nice, but can you
yeah.
please give one simple, quick example of the activities which could be done with this?
For example, like,
Yeah.
when people come to my subject for a presentation, I ask them that, so earlier you used to have this engineer, doctor, the professions which are, what are the new age professions that you think, this is something which our head of school made us do. What are the new age professions that you think that has been? So influencer is one. Influencer is one of the biggest professions
YouTube,
now.
bloggers.
YouTube content creators, bloggers, SEO writers. So there are so many new professions that have come. Help them and what type now. You are a recruiter, you are a HR of a company. What skills do you want to see in that person who you want to select? A, creativity, this expression. Now see what all subjects can help them in that. A very simple activity, futuristic, which is actually happening there on ground.
So one activity can be very simple, like what I showed them a very small TED talk. Okay, this was one 14-15-year-old child talking about basically about something. I said, can you list the skills that the child is? Somebody said he's a communicator, he's very confident, there's facial expression, there's body expression, the use of hand gesture. I go, what are these and where do we use them? They said theater. And after the COVID scenario, when the parents have seen their children inside, they're not able to share, their emotional well-being is hampered so badly. Trust me, this year for my MYP, because in if you have in MYP 5, you have 10 students, that means you have too many students. And this year I have 16 e-portfolio students, and 16 e-portfolio means, imagine, divided by 30 pages, like just to give you a brief number, it's too much. So that is the kind of, what as Ruchira said, when you actually tell the parents, and they find their own answers. If you engage them in that conversation, they'll get their own answers. What is required? I clearly tell my parents, we are not preparing our children for the jobs which are there. We are preparing them for the jobs which don't even exist right now. Because creative thinkers, critical thinkers, where all do you use all that? Where do this improvisation, spontaneity comes in? So all that is there in theater, in your performing arts, where you actually put yourself on a pedestal, on a brink, and then you go ahead. The confidence, like for example, if you would ask me, talking, to 10 people whom I don't know completely, or talking to 300 of an audience, but the fun, the enjoyment, the relaxation, and it also works not only in terms of personality development, but also in terms of your emotional well-being, the mindfulness. All my SEL teachers come to me and they ask me, what are the different kind of activities that you do in theater? Please tell us some activities. In dance, for that matter, the navrasas, how, understanding emotions, understanding situations. So these are some of the examples. Like you can actually ask parents to do role play. Very simple role plays. Tell them these are the 3 words: sorry, thank you, and please. Do a role play, 2 minutes role play, and these 3 words have to be used, but not in general consequences, like not in general sense. Oh, give me your pen, thank you, not like that. Trust me, parents come up with such beautiful improvisations, and then they understand the importance of dance, drama, and music like that.
Jay, your hand is raised. Any question, Jay?
Yeah, one simple question. Okay, so learning process, we have that differentiation sections in our unit planner, right? So do we need to change that after the teaching? For example, in reflection, we have during teaching. So in that, when we find some students is finding difficulty in learning, so we change the strategies. So we mentioned over it there. Do we need to change that in the differentiation as well?
No. So just to add to that, in differentiation, differentiation happens at 3 levels. As I said, in the process, in the content, and in the kind of resources that you are providing to the child. So in terms of learning, for example, let's say one of my child, I have a child who clearly refused. I will not say a single dialogue. He did not audition for the performance. I said, okay, fine. I'm okay with it. Will you do a solo? He said, I'm okay with the solo. Okay. So here, instead of having a group performance, because the child was not comfortable in a group setting, I gave him that opportunity. So here, that is differentiation. But during the unit reflection, you can write that one of my child was hesitant, but I provided that opportunity by focusing on individual process of development in terms of an actor or a performer or a scriptwriter, whatever the case may be. Okay. So we're just waiting for everyone else, and then I'll share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
So Roshan, you teach MYP as of now, or?
So we have been part of, by the way,
yes.
So I am part of an organization called Rang Bhumi. It's an applied theater organization. We work with different schools and corporates as well. So we are part of schools where IB is taught, and we have implemented it in English with the English literature as well. And now again, we are there is another school which we are starting in next year. Again, an IB school.
Okay.
Great.
So I think most of us are here. Everyone is here, right? Is Ajay, Ayana, Jackson, are you all there?
Yeah, I'm there. Ajay,
Sure. Okay, so I'll begin the session so that we don't, because right now the focus is on actual planning. So this is one of the examples here, or one of the units. If you see statement of inquiry, pattern and repetition can communicate motion. And the key concept is communication. Related concept is composition. So pattern and repetitions are word that comes from the word composition. Now personal and cultural expression comes in how we communicate the motion. Motion can be in your cultural aspect, it can be in your personal aspect when you communicate an idea. Now to broaden this statement of inquiry, we have looked at the factual question, which says these are very limited questions. You can add an n number of questions. You can ask your students also to add in factual questions, conceptual questions, and debatable questions. Now, if you see the factual question says, what conventions or elements can be identified specific to the theater genre? Now, this, if you see, is a very generic unit plan. It does not give you an idea on the content. What are we going to teach? Conceptual question says, what is the relationship between arts and the audience? So here they are focusing on audience in the terms of the composition. For example, if we've seen a lot of musicals, there's an audience of 400 people. But when we have seen productions which are in the intimate space, like I have done a production where this was a promenade theater performance. We did Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And in that we did performance at 5 places. And the audience, we would run from one place to the second venue, and the audience would also run with us. So there is no limit to performance in terms of the audience relationship. It can be very intimate, it can be distant. So it's completely up to us in terms of the composition. How do we want to compose our auditorium? How do we want to compose the performing space? And then the debatable question says, when does art become labeled as provocative? So basically, as I gave an example, like we did a performance, we collaborated with a circus company and we did the performance. So we were clowns. So we did a story of basically where we did an ironic scene on Pandits, Muslims and everything. But in Kerala, we were in Calicut, which is like, the very head town that place. We were attacked while the performance was going on. So Does art become labeled? So basically the question here, the debatable question is, do you think art is always provocative in nature, or is it just a way of expression? So children will have perspective from both. You know, some people feel no, it's just an expression. Some people no. It can it can bring out agitation. People can feel offended. So that is the debatable question here.
But
Now,
both
yes, I am.
are valid, no? I mean, you can use both.
Yes, that is why. Yes, that is why. Yes, that is why it is a debatable question, because you will have pros and cons of both. So that is why we make sure that debatable question is such that you have both. It should not be a question that let's say that human have like let's say a question where it's completely negative or completely positive. Then our students will not have scope for going in depth. So for example, if you look at this debatable question, so we have to make sure when we make our debatable questions, it should provide opportunity to our students to debate, to have the pros and the cons. Okay, so now this is given in one of the resources that I've shared. So basically, when we talk about whenever we are planning for theater, we have to keep certain things in mind that basically, as Roshan mentioned, so what are we teaching our student? Apart from we teaching the key concept, related concept, everything, but our students should know the variety of performances, the practices going on, the different artists all over the world, the dramatic convention, movement, style. What is the context? Now, context means space and time. How was theater performed in Greek times in 4th, 5th century BC, and now how theater is done? That context. What are the conditions? What leads to a performance? All these things, the language of drama, the production elements. Our students, when they reach MYP5, they should be well versed with all these terminologies. That is how. So it's not only about teaching about key concept, related concept, but it's also, through the process, how are we imparting the theater, the theatrics to our students? That is also our job as a facilitator. For MYP1, a smaller version, MYP2, a broader version, MYP3, a more detailed version, MYP4 onwards, it's like full blast on. So that has to be kept in mind. What skills? So we not only focus on their, introducing them in terms of watching, but also development of skills, different artistic processes. How do you make the drama? How do you compose? What are the different planning processes? What is production process? What are the different, how do you formulate rehearsal schedule? What is the profile of a stage manager? Who's a director? Who's a light designer? So they should know all these components, because once you write your e-portfolio, I clearly tell my students, you have to choose a primary role and a secondary role. They clearly write my primary role as a director, my secondary role as an actor, my primary role as a music director, like that. So that clarity has to be there in terms of in the mind of the students whom we are teaching. Now the production elements, dramatic writing, direction, costume, lighting, scenery, use of mass, sound, and all that. Our students have to be aware of all these terminologies in terms of skill development. Now, how creatively they think through drama, storyboarding, narratives, designing sets, props, writing text, writing scripts, improvisation of scenarios. So these are the things. So these are broader terminology. These are all subject specific terminology to theater. How do we bring these into our unit planners? This is the beauty of planning a unit before we actually introduce it to our children. And respond is very, very important. What was the inspiration? What was the artistic intention? Which performance inspired them to create their own performance? They have to be very, very clear. Which theme are they addressing? Which issue? Which context? And what are different things that they developed or discovered about themselves? Very, very important. Self-learning. So that all needs to be there. These are 4 components. You can look at the presentation. Any questions on this? The skills, the response, thinking creatively, and researching and looking or viewing. Or we are good to go. Okay, so now I've planned a task. So basically we are divided into dance. We'll go to the dance ones, and we are looking at theater tasks. So each of you, I've shared empty unit planner. So you people can work on that itself, and you can call everyone and join that unit planner. So I want each one of you to unmute while discussing this. I'll be mute and I'll be just listening to the discussion. I'll be giving you 20 minutes. Right now it's 5:19. So I'll be giving you 20 minutes to create a unit planner. in the terms of key concept, related concept, all that basic. I don't want a detailed unit planner, but I want to see how do you structure it? How do you formulate the statement of inquiry? What are the summative tasks that you're looking at, and which grade? Very clear. You have to write the grade. What is the duration? All that. But you need to do it as a group. Is the task clear? Any questions on the task?
I think the task is clear.
Yeah. So we are 6. So I think if we divide 3, it will be 2 less. So right now we have 6 people. So I think we can go ahead with 6 of you planning one unit together. You can look at the drive link that I've shared, and you can actually start working on any one of the unit planner, or one of you take the initiative of doing it as a Google Doc and add each other maybe, and then you can work around it. Or you can straight away work in that Google Drive also. And one person pastes the link here so that each one can access it from the chats.
Do we have to also include any exercise in the name of the exercise?
Simple. Don't do the entire planning, just very brisk. Warm-ups and all that, just the learning experience, so that I get to know that you have understood what is learning experience, you've understood what is statement of inquiry, all the components are very clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, hi. Ms. Vandana, where is I can't access the drive. I mean,
I'm just
Yeah,
reposting.
Miss
Vandana,
is it the same link the which you?
Yes. I've reshared the drive. So if you see, there is one is an interactive unit planner, one is an empty unit planner there.
Okay.
Yeah. It says blank unit planner. So if you put it on Google Docs, I'll just share the Google Doc version link also, so that everyone of us can be on the same page. Yes, I can see somebody has already accessed it.
Yeah, that's me, Arjab.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you.
So everyone is joined, so you can fill this document. So let me just share my screen again, so that we can also see what is happening. Yeah. So all of you can see this empty unit planner. So you basically don't write teachers, just write subject group as arts, performing arts. What is the unit title? Depending on the content, MYP, year, duration, key concept, related concept, global context, statement of inquiry, factual question. One question is enough for the time being. What are the objectives, criteria, your summative assessment, and then your approaches to learning skill. One activity, not much. Learner profile attribute, any specific activity that you're focusing on development of any of the learner profile attributes. Action, then again, learning experience and teaching strategies, formative assessment. One example of formative assessment is enough. Content, for example, if this unit that you are planning is on, let's say, Roman theater, what content of Roman theater you'll be working at. So now I'm muting myself. The ball is in your court now. So I want each one of you to unmute and work together. And then you can have, if you have a list of resources, you can add. And then we can also look at, this is very important, reflection prior to teaching the unit, during teaching, and after teaching the unit. So we'll not be teaching the unit. So you can fill, at least prior to teaching the unit, any activity that you plan for the children to understand what is their understanding of that term or whatever you are doing in terms of the content. Ajay, Arjav, you raised your hand. Yes.
Yeah, that is just for the access.
Okay.
It is,
just give me a minute. I'll just see if
I've sent the request to access.
Okay, just give me a minute. I'll just check.
Sure, thank you.
See, I've kept it open. If you have the link, you can open it.
No, it's opening, but I think it's asking when I try to type something, it is.
Okay, just give me a minute. I'll just check.
Sure.
Yes, Arjun. Yeah, I'll open it just for you.
Thank you.
Yes, just editor, share. Okay. Now, can you access it?
Yeah, let me check. I'll just.
So I would maybe just a working title. Unit of the title of the unit I might call it non-verbal communication. And I would just think, when I'm thinking about non-verbal communication, what I have at the back of my mind is teaching mime. So that would be my thinking, and then maybe the MYP one at a very basic level. So I do not know what other people think, because I would want to combine mime and physical theater. My thoughts. That's why the unit title, I have titled it non-verbal communication and not just mime only, so that also I'm thinking in terms of the age group. Because they are young, you'd want to cover so much, so that they are introduced to a broad spectrum of techniques. So that is my thinking. I would like maybe just to hear someone else just throw in their thoughts, and then I might continue.
Yeah, what I was thinking as well, maybe we can work together.
Yes.
And come up with, I'm fine with mime and movement. MYP 1 sounds good as well.
Okay.
This is yeah, I think last year for MYP 1 we did mime, so that's absolutely okay. I think I'm on a phone, so it becomes really difficult for me to go. If somebody's on a laptop, maybe they can fill in and we all can work on the same document.
Okay, maybe if we could get a scribe, anyone who would like to be our scribe, and I don't mind facilitating the discussion. Anyone who would be a scribe, just who has downloaded the unit, anyone? So I'm not getting any response. I will just chip in and continue. So key concept. Yep. Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, I hope many people will join our discussion. So yeah, we can say unit title could be mime and movement, and MYP year to be MYP year 1.
Yes, yes.
And key concept, what would you like to choose as a key concept?
I would go maybe, I usually think, because also it's at a very basic level, because it's MYP 1, I think fundamentally going with communication.
Okay, makes sense, all right.
Communication, and then maybe we would go with related concept as role.
Communication, and just noting it down, and related concept, you want it as role, okay.
Global context, maybe we could go with personal and cultural expression as the bigger global context, and then exploration, there is the part of artistry, craft, creation, and beauty.
Okay.
Yes, so maybe now we could hear thoughts from other people before we move
Go ahead.
on.
Yeah.
So maybe in the chat, I will just take, I'll note everything in the chat. Yeah, and then so that we can try and coin a statement of inquiry. Okay. Yeah. So okay. Okay, 1 second. So right now, what we need to do, we have said key concept as communication, related concept as role, global context, personal and cultural expression. We are looking at artistry, craft, and beauty as the specific area of exploration of the global context. So what I would like everyone to do maybe is type, let me just write down the key concept, related concept first. And then I'm writing them in the chat.
Okay.
So the idea is to come up with different statements of inquiry, so that we are able to see which one do we think would drive this unit well. Ms. Bandana, you can throw in your thoughts if you think we are going away.
No, you are going completely fine. The discussion is, I would really appreciate if each one contributes, because you're going in the right direction, like actually looking at the unit, looking at the content, and based on the content, you're looking at the key concept and the related concept. That's how. So there are both the methods can work. Like you can finalize the key concept, related concept like that, and then go for the content, or whether the content leads you to key concept, related concept. That's a completely fine thing. Yes.
Okay. Right. So, okay, right now, global context is personal and cultural expression. So, artistry, craft, and creation. Let me just take that down.
Yeah. So if all of us could just play around with words here, so that we can, if all of us would come up with one statement of inquiry, that would be great. I will throw in mine in 2 minutes or so.
And what were the related concepts you people were dealing with?
The related concept was role.
And just a suggestion, it'll be nice if you have two, because then it gives you at least two angles and aspects.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we could go, just a second.
Maybe structure, you mean?
We are looking at another related concept. Okay, I can see someone writing, what is the difference between drama and theater?
So basically, until now, we used to refer to the word drama, but with the new guide, we have to refer, we don't refer it to anymore as drama, but we refer to it as theater.
Theater, yeah.
Yeah. So Roshan, you have written related concept, watching and embodying. So watching and embodying are not the related concepts. So Roshan, IB gives a clear guidelines. There are 4 key concepts. One is your change, communication, aesthetics, and identity. And similarly, we have 16 related concepts. So if you can have a look at the arts guide, you'll clearly get an idea what are the 16 related concepts.
Okay. The related concepts are on page 25 on the new guide. So the second related concept, I would go with expression, maybe expression. But any thoughts are most welcome.
Expression is fine. I thought of structure as well.
You thought of structure?
Yeah. Is structure all right, Vandana? I mean, even expression is fine. I'm just.
Everything is fine. It's because what happens is, for example, if you choose structure, you will have to talk about structure in the content that you are teaching. Right?
Yeah.
Once you create the performance, for example, even if you choose related concept as composition, then you will have to make sure that the students understand the concept behind the word composition. What is the concept behind the word structure or expression? Is completely up to us. Nothing is wrong. Even if we write narrative, whether it's a non-verbal narrative, whether it's a verbal narrative, that's completely up to us how we are going to go ahead with it. So anything and everything is right here.
So is it that one has to follow the this table or the concepts which has been.
Yes. In terms of unit planning, you have to clearly follow the IB key concept, related concept, and the global context. There are 6 global contexts, 16 related concepts, and 4 key concepts for arts.
But just now you mentioned that it gives IB gives a lot of
freedom, but
freedom.
in the terms of these are the what we called IBness. Yesterday we found a new word within the group. So
Yeah.
these are something, for example, IB is a concept based curriculum. It's not content based curriculum. So for that, to streamline that, they have given certain vocabulary to us. Okay, they give us freedom. For example, they have given the key concept as communication. It's completely up to us. How do you want to teach them communication? Whether we want to teach them communication through Navrasa, whether you want to give them teach communication through play scripts, through Ibsen's play, or through like that, or it's completely up to us. The communication word is important so that they understand that we are looking and focusing at the concept of communication, different types of communication, how theater gives us that freedom of verbal communication, non-verbal communication, all that. So it's completely up to us. In the terms of content, what are we going to fill in?
Okay, so if the concept is what is theater and what is drama, if this is a concept,
no, these can be your inquiry questions. Concepts, okay. Key concept are just 4 words: communication, identity, aesthetics, and your I'm forgetting which one. On communication, identity, aesthetics, and there's one more word. Can somebody help me?
You say okay. Identity,
yes, identity, yeah. Yes, these are the 4 concepts. So basically, while we are teaching, we have to make sure our content is aligned to these 4 concepts. These 4 concepts through our content.
So I have coined one statement of inquiry. Maybe anyone else could try out something to you can just write statement of inquiry 1 and then 2, so that we also
all right, this is something which I really want to lay focus on, Ms. Bandana and everybody, maybe help, SOI is basically an extended form of KC, GC, and RC. But how do you basically come up with an SOI? I would say constructive SOI, say, for example, which is much easier for kids to understand, rather than keep, SOI should be very simple and, should be, very easily understandable by kids. So, that is where, I need more, maybe, help on.
So if I look at the key concept, related concept, and global context here, one statement of inquiry that comes to my mind very beautifully is how performance or arts provides, communicates the personal and cultural expressions of an artist or of a community. It can be as simple as that.
So that is the bigger conceptual understanding that
yes.
Kids have
so
to
here we are talking about communication, we are talking about personal cultural expression, we are talking about the role or the performance. So arts gives that freedom. So see, what happens is generally when we are planning a statement of inquiry, try to keep the words from key concept, related concept, and global context so that they are aware that this is the key concept, this is the related concept and global context, but it should be open-ended. It should give them, it should not limit them in terms of their resources, in terms of their investigation, in terms of their research.
So, Bandana, if may I add a point here?
Yes.
Usually, one such activity that can be done with the kids is they can be asked to formulate the statement of inquiry. Once they are asked to formulate, they would understand the meaning of it. And of course, it would be to their level, because our level sometimes goes above their head.
Yes. Yes.
So if they are given opportunity in groups to come up with statement of inquiry, you can finalize it as a whole class on what could be the final one. And then you could make changes to the planner as well.
Yes.
So However, it should match to what you've planned, because your end goal, which is a summative assessment, should align to the statement of inquiry, which is again
Yes.
a part of the unit planning.
So what, as Ruchira said, we also do unpacking of units, and we actually, like, for example, with my MYP2, not MYP1, because for MYP1, it's a very new thing, but yes, giving them KC, RC and GC, and then telling them to formulate a statement of inquiry is a very good activity in the beginning, first 2-3 weeks. Because they will hone their IB terminology skills, but at the same time, they'll understand how to, because it becomes like, if there are groups, it becomes like a competition. I think my statement of inquiry goes really well. So I did a very simple activity. I chose different content. For example, I chose mime, physical theater, Greek theater, Roman theater. I said, if these are the content that I'm going to be teaching, choose a key concept, choose a related concept, choose a global context, create your statement of inquiry, create your inquiry questions. And they actually created a very beautiful unit planner. So I gave them, I did not give them the unit planner. I gave them a A4 size sheet, colored sheets, and with bubble mapping, they did everything. But it was a very beautiful activity, and they understood each and everything. The IB-ness was very clear to them. How, for example, in Greek theater, they were very, very clear, because we are looking at ancient theater. Change should be the key concept. Somebody said, no, because it talks about chorus. This was the beginning of theater, change, aesthetic should be there. So they have the discussion that we are having right now. They also have the same discussion. So just in one exercise, we are giving them all the key concepts, all the related concepts to actually brainstorm and come up with a beautiful unit planner.
Do you think it's a good idea to introduce them to all? Okay.
Yes.
So you're talking about all of them. They are introduced to all of them so that they are also able to make informed decision. I'm also thinking that as we think about the related concept, what they exactly mean, I think also is a very good thing for them to know, so that as the unit progresses, the students get to know. So even if I'm talking about composition, so this is how composition looks like in drama, and composition looks in visual arts like this.
Yes.
So that the two are very different. So I think it's for the unpacking of a unit, these basic big ideas, as we talk about for the conceptual understanding, are very important to drive a unit.
Yes.
Okay, I think we have stalled a little bit. Let's try and see if we can try and come up with at least the inquiry questions. If we can also come up with some of them, that would be great.
Yes. So as we discussed yesterday, factual questions refers to the facts, the general information, general knowledge, general understanding of the concepts and everything of the content that we are teaching them. Conceptual questions are talking about the concepts, the theme, the ideas about the content that we're going to be teaching them. And again, debatable, as we had a very beautiful discussion on the exemplar that I showed you. So debatable question has to be a question which has weightage from both the sides, the pros and the cons, something that gives them an insight into the pros and the cons equally. It should not be just one-sided, it should be open-ended, but at the same time, it should have value from both the angles, both the perspectives. Because for theater specifically, perspective plays a very, very important role. What is the perspective? Because perspective helps them to formulate their artistic intention. This was a question raised yesterday. What is artistic intention? Artistic intention was initially the part of task 2, which was your criteria B. So if you look at the word artistic intention, what you intend to do, and artistic, the creative aspect of it. So basically, in MYP 5, when the students research about a specific artwork or artist or a theater movement, and they look at 2 different artworks generally, so that they can do a compare and contrast. Based on that, they take inspiration, and then they formulate their artistic intention. That I want to create as an actor, I want to create a performance exploring, let's say, through my use of body movement and all that, I want to talk about the impact of deforestation and how it's impacting the local villagers. Somebody can create a performance like that. That is their artistic intention, that as an artist, this is their intent, what they want to do.
Ms. Bandana, I just want to throw in maybe a question that would, maybe I don't know how you would think about this.
Yeah.
Because we're also thinking as we drive the conceptual understanding, because I remember I was thinking about this unit as nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
Do you think it is okay? Definitely, we should have many factual questions. So, for example, as I'm thinking about nonverbal communication, I would like to maybe ask a factual question. What is nonverbal communication first? Before I dig deeper in, because I'm also at the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the content. So maybe I would ask, what is nonverbal communication? Or maybe what is nonverbal communication in drama? Which one sounds better?
Okay, so if you would ask that what is non-verbal communication, that is more a factual question, because there I'll be addressing at different types of non-verbal communication. So whenever there is a question of what, it is generally talks about the facts.
Okay.
What is Greek theater? But what were the ideas presented through Greek theater? What were the themes? So that gives us a different perspective. So conceptual questions should be such where we are dealing with themes, motives, ideas, the presentation, the idea behind it, or the concept behind it. For example, I'll tell you the key here is look at communication. Okay, what are the techniques used for non-verbal communication? What are the different mediums? So that gives us more detail about the concept in terms of, for example, whether it's physical theater, whether it's mime, like that.
So if you want to work on like very, very basic, it could be what is theater, what is drama. So how will we place that in the key concept? Or maybe we are working on the muscle memory.
So for example, if you're talking about muscle memory, and then it's completely up to you. For example, muscle memory comes into aesthetics also. For example, when you talk about, let's say Kudiyattam as a theater form, which is from Kerala, there it's all about, the mudra has to come, the eyes have to go, and this is the shringar, that's like that. So here, the muscle memory works in terms of aesthetics, how the training of an actor enhances his muscle memory to portray a character.
But right now I'm talking in a way where, so not all the students would like to be an actor, right? So like I'm especially focusing on applied theater because it works with non-actors. So a student may not be interested in becoming an actor or like Nasiruddin Shah or Shah Rukh Khan. That person wants to apply it in his daily life. How muscle memory works there? How our daily, so with that concept, then aesthetic won't be I don't think so. It comes under.
It can be. For example, when you're talking about muscle memory, or you're talking about everyday role life examples, improvisation, role plays, because at the end of the day, you presenting. Drama is all about connecting with the audience. How do you connect it? What are the elements? For example, if I have to do a brushing scene, I can variate it with energy.
Again, with not related to the acting.
No, yeah, that's okay. For example, even if it's, for example, first you improvise, then only you come up with a script or an idea. So it is like, it is a structure. So these are just milestones in between. So even if it's for a very mediocre level, let's say somebody, if you just want to introduce, just get them hang of theater, role play, theater in education plays a very pivotal role.
No problem.
Just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Yes. So here I was referring to theater and education. For example, how theater is done, what is role play, what is improvisation. So these are the things that gives us that insight into very basic crafts, where the child gets a liberty, whether even if he's not keen on acting, he can go into script writing and just getting that exposure of creative expression of self that is there.
Okay. I'm not even related to any of these roles like script writer or writer or lights or sounds or acting, nothing. Just applying how one can apply it in his daily life. how to understand that muscle memory is not just for acting purpose. It's also how I use it in my daily life, or maybe waking up every morning,
Yeah.
how it works, and maybe getting trained, how when I ride a bicycle, how my muscle memory works in that. So I'm just talking about the basic, like what is theater and what is drama.
Yeah, so you can do that. You can design your unit in such a way. But what I want to bring your focus here is, for example, in IB, like we would do something like that in a sports school if it was in a sports scholastic subject. But in IB, specifically in IB, in MYP years, when we introduce theater or dance or visual art or anything, we make sure that they get the artistic bent, they get that creative bent, they understand what are the conventions. We don't just do it just for the sake of it, because there's an assessment involved at the end of MYP 5.
Of course, there is
Yeah, so
an
that is the major
assessment
crux here. So it's not like a scholastic subject ki aap class mein aaye, aaj aapne ye chota role play kiya, then you go back. It's not like that.
Right.
So we have to assess the students. So that is why we focus on development of skills and techniques, so that they understand. When I gave you that 4 slides, what they learn, creative thinking, all that, that has to be there. That is why I would say it is different from how we teach theater in CBSE and how we do it in IB, because IB, it's a proper subject. It's not like a scholastic part of the teaching process.
But it's not expansive. I feel that it's quite restrictive in its own structure.
Restrictive in what sense?
In this restriction, in a sense, right now I wrote something which you said this doesn't come under IB. So
no, because IB,
basic,
yes.
like what is theater and what is drama, and then understanding what is, because watching a play and embodying a character, both are different things. One is experiencing. So
I'll tell you something. What you wrote in the chats is not a key concept, because key concept, related concept, and global context, these are the terminologies introduced by IB. So when we are doing unit planning for IB, we will have to take their terminologies. So it's not restrictive that ways. So because your key concepts are similar in language and literature, all the in IB there is a, I'll tell you, because I've taught in PYP also, and my husband teaches in a CBSE school. They don't deal with all these key concept, related concept.
Right.
He's also a theater teacher.
Yeah, that's
so they do it like, you know, everyday class, role play, everything, and they assess and everything. But here, because it's an IB curriculum, we are teaching them concepts. We are not teaching them content. We are teaching them concept. That is why we come back. For example, communication or like that. So if you look at the broader picture, some of the related concepts will be across subjects. Some of the key concepts here will also be there in maths. Some will be there in science. So these are the command terms, let's say command terms in that ways, given by IB, that we have to follow if we are following an IB curriculum. And Ruchira would like to add, I think Ruchira will give you more insight being an MYP coordinator on this.
No, I think Roshan, we can maybe right now move ahead and have a one-on-one discussion as well, because I think you need to know the basics of the unit planning. So we can definitely have a discussion on that, on how does it go about, you know, understanding the various technical requirements.
So I would request all the participants to keep their cameras on, because I want now, since we have done a basic structure of the unit planner, so I want you to, I want to understand what did you gauge out of this activity, because we could not complete the entire thing. But before starting this activity, we discussed what is the structure of the unit plan, what all things are required, like factual, question, conceptual. We did not finish this entirely. But do you think this helped you gauge and deepen your understanding about IB concepts, the IB-ness, and bringing in your content as a drama facilitator or a theater facilitator?
No, this did really help. You know, we deviated, you know, a bit in the, you know, later. But yeah, you know, this factual, debatable, and conceptual is, you know, like very clear. Like you said, you know, I also have this practice of doing this with kids. But sometimes, you know, in a school atmosphere, you don't get the time, unfortunately. But fortunately, you know, this year onwards, you know, we have MYP 9 and 10. I mean, MYP 9 basically catering to 10 next year. With the new guidance, especially, I hope to do this at like what we are doing with the kids. Like as Mr. Ruchira also pointed out, you know, what we might be thinking, they might not be catered up to. So it's always better if everything of this comes from there, from them, right? Because at the end of the day, they are the consumers, right? So, that's what I feel. It really helps a lot.
Yeah, as we look at the IB cycle, the learner is at the center. We are nowhere in the wheelchair, the learner is at the center. So we have to focus. That is why there is so much stress. There is more emphasis on the formative because learner is at the center. What the learner is gauging, what the learner is understanding. When we even look at the key concepts and the related concepts, anything and everything that has to do communication, how did communication work for them? How did role, expression, structure work for them? What is their understanding of all these things? So I would just like to share about my personal experience here. The first unit planner that I created like 8 years back was exactly like this, like very basic. But gradually over the years, after preparing unit plans, after discussing, getting feedback, attending workshops, gradually we understood that, how to structure our unit plans in such a way that they are rich in terms of IB terminology and they are rich in terms of our content. Now what happens is, in terms of content, your learning experience and your content, the boxes that are given in the unit planner, if you go down, that gives you the space to explore your theatrical knowledge, your theatrics, your dramatic conventions. But IB, these key concepts, related concepts, and the global context gives you a perspective in terms of how should I go about teaching. The unit planner is for teachers. So that now what I do is, from last year, so this year our school is again getting re-evaluated for MYP again. We're having a re-evaluation this year. So one of my unit planners was selected for MYP. One unit planner was selected for which was sent as a sample. In that, we have written anything and everything from each week planning, from the content, what kind of exercises, the resources, which learner profile we are catering to, which ATL skill we are catering to, are we doing technology integration or not. So there is no limit to what you fill in your unit planner. But what the ease that I get after planning a beautiful detailed unit planner is, I don't feel lost when I enter into a class. I just look at my unit plan. I know this is week 5. I'll be focusing on this. No, there are times when we skip, 4 nahi ho paya, 5. But then we have the reflection corner to reflect what worked in the unit, what did not work, what worked for my consumers, my learners, how engaged they were, which activities really worked. Even if I don't do the same unit in terms of the content, but I know what kind of exercises motivated them, inspired them. Because at the end of the day, we are preparing them to make a choice for MYP 4 and 5 e-portfolio. And finally, when they submit the e-portfolio, trust me, it's a huge task. Those 24 pages and those 3 minutes of video, we feel, it's very light thing. It's not. It becomes like because you feel, I hope I'm not missing something. I hope I've given all the information to the child. I hope I provided all the resources. Like I remember this year when the unit came and it was how nature inspires art. You will not believe, I went to a National Schoolorama, look at all the plays that happened in Bharangam, got their videos, and I made my children watch it so that they get a multiple perspective from different directors. I asked them, whenever I used to see any performance happening, I used to send them links, please go and watch. Because the more you watch, the more knowledge you gain in terms of knowledge of composition, of structure, of role. Now what happens, just to give a brief, in MYP 1, 2, 3, we plan the unit. MYP 4, what I generally do with my students, I take the partially completed unit planner of previous years and I make my students do that so that they are prepared for their e-portfolio. So at least they have done 3 e-portfolio units by the time November comes, and on 1st of November, partially completed unit planner is released by IB. So to reach to that point, I make them do at least 3 PCUP before finally getting the IB unit planner. So this was majorly the unit planning. Unit planning is a very detailed process, but gradually I think I gave you some insight on, the basic components. I have also, just give me a minute, I'm just showing you the checklist that I've shared with you so that you get an idea basically what so just give me a minute, I'll just reshare my screen. Yes. So can you see my screen? Yeah. So this is a checklist. I had this checklist from one of the resources, but then I edited according to myself. This is a very basic checklist. You can add in as much information as you want. So this becomes easier for me when I plan the unit, whether I've addressed the key concept, related concept, global context, statement of inquiry. Now, when I say significant concept or a big idea, For example, I'm talking about sustainability. All recyclable practices in theater in terms of stage, costume, props. So that big ideas are those ideas. How do we contextualize the performance, like the, the unit, whether we are looking at local, let's say the big concept can be renovating endangered art forms, theater forms. That can be the big idea. How children, so here we also give them scope for services action. We give them scope for CAS, personal project, approaches to learning, learner profile, objectives. So if you see, I've divided this into 3 stages, and each stage talks about different. You just look at the plan, the unit, and just take mark for yourself. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So you all can download all the material which is there. You can use it. It's available at a lot of places, but I've just streamlined it so that you get insight into this planning. Now, any questions or queries or thoughts that are coming to the mind?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know, again, it is personalized and how you teach and, what is a big idea and everything. Usually say, taking this example itself, what would you say, for example, for a cohort of, I have around 39 students in grade, in MYP2.
Wow.
So how do you come up with summative? FAs is, yeah, fine, but how do you come up with summatives?
Okay, yes. So that's a good question. So what I do is generally, for example, we have 3 sections. So each section has around 22 to 23 students. So for example, we gave example of MYP3. So what we did was we created one performance. The entire group created one performance, but the script was written by them, the planning was done by them, the costumes were done by them. So what they did was they divided themselves into costume team, music team, dance team, backdrops, everything. So I assessed them not only based on their, and then the final performance, everyone had to act or dance. That was compulsory. So sing, dance or act. Your performance once on stage has to be there in any form. Apart from that, they were part of, so I asked them to create rubrics for themselves. So MYP3 knows it. So they created rubrics for for example, I'm a costume designer. That's my primary role. And my secondary role is of an actor. So rubric for costume designing, rubric for acting, which was common for all. And then a critical analysis of the performance and self-analysis and a peer analysis. So one peer will analyze your performance, one as a costume designer and one as an actor. So 2 aspects. So they have developed the skills of a costume designer, acting, and at the same time, they are also critical analysis. They are critically able to analyze their performance. So that's how I create my summative.
So when you, okay, sorry to interrupt. This thought will flow. Okay, when you're assessing them, so you take their rubric, say a costume designing wala rubric, and you assess them, and then you, okay.
Yes, I can do that, or also I can also give them a rubric. For example, in this summative, if I give you this example as I'm giving this as example, so what I will do is for costume, they can create their rubric, and the final performance, I will be creating a rubric. In the performance rubric, I can focus on performance, composition, structure. It's completely up to me. What are the aspects that I'll be looking at? Okay. So you can have 2 ways. So then the child will have an option of self-assessment, peer analysis, and expert evaluation. So even in when they do their self rubric, I always keep a column for self-reflection and a teacher's comment, which is very, very important, because then it shows multimodality in also in terms of responses and reflection.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Yes, I hope I gave you some insight on the summative.
Yeah, but of course, this increases the facilitator's work, however. So, but at the end of the day, we have to.
You have 39 in one class itself, or there are 2 sections?
No, 39 in one class, yeah.
Oh,
so that you have to go and fight actually.
Yeah, 2 sections.
Yeah,
I was about
to
to.
make a number, because when we expect differentiation and when we expect that different students choose their own way of working, I think that goes for a toss then. I mean, if we have to just do it the plain way for everybody, that everybody takes the same topic, everybody chooses the same content, then fine. But if you have to do a MYP5 kind of a e-portfolio kind of a class, then the students have the option to choose their way of working, right? So if you want to give them that exposure at a lower grade level, then 39 is too
39 is a huge number, because in IB, I think
24.
maximum you can have is 25, not more than 25 is also a huge number.
24.
Unfortunately, yeah, but But yeah, that's the thing. It's a good thing, but again, it's correcting their, I unfortunately had a theory paper. Oh my God, I sometimes thought I was an English teacher
Yes,
correcting their
I can understand.
sentences,
That's
their
why
dialogue.
I specifically focused on, don't make theater assessment as a paper. Don't make it a write and
No, how
writing.
do we
What is
avoid
Green
that
Theater?
now?
Who is
This year I
Aristotle?
have
Like that. Yeah.
this year I've completely come to a agreement with myself, saying, okay, theory ka paper मैं नहीं दूंगा. मैं live झंड होते, it's so irritating, man. Sitting, I don't want to feel like an English teacher. Dialogues ये देखो क्या है. So I said, what I mean, that is what my other concern is. My summatives, how do you plan? That's what I wanted to move focus on. Yeah.
So Ruchira wants to add, then I'll add to Ruchira.
Yeah. See, this is where you can give them the flexibility of choosing the type of work that they want to do.
Yes.
So when we are talking of the script also, if you want to assess that script, that is what you can do. Give it as a formative. It leads to the final summative assessment. Summative assessment could be just a performance where you are putting in these steps like script writing or dialogue delivery, just checking on dialogue delivery at times. Or I may not be able to talk technical theater terms right now, but these little milestones are what you can give them as formatives and then lead to a single performance wherein they do group works. Don't let them do individuals, because 39 is too huge a number again for you. But one important factor in this case could be, one important support for you could be the process journal. If they're maintaining their process journal as per the requirement, so give them 3, 4, 5 sessions in the beginning itself about the importance and how to create process journals. Every aspect of the process journal can be evaluated by you while they are doing their work. They can send you the recordings, because this is theater where everything cannot be put down in pen and paper. They can send a part of their recordings to you as a part of process journal, and those can be evaluated as a final part of the summative as well.
And just to add to what Ruchira said, you can also do is group performances. Have groups of 6 and 7. So because assessing 6, 7 students together, so I believe that peer evaluation helps teachers a lot.
Yes,
So you will have, so what you can do is, when you create the rubric for performance, it's a group performance. Somebody must have contributed to the script, but it is an ensemble at the end of the day. So we have rubric where you should actually focus on each aspect. Dialogue delivery, script writing, and you can break it down into the chains. For example, in terms of formatives also, don't go into the theory, because IB does not tell us that it has to be a paper and pen. As Rushira mentioned, process journal comes in very, very handy. For example, there was a student of mine and she could not do the final performance because she had COVID. But her process journal, all the activities that we had done, everything was there. So because under those circumstances, I did not have a performance, but I had her process journal where I could see her performances, like the formative performances or the performances during classes, the improvisations. So I was able to assess her based on that. So that is why there is so much stress on process journal and the formatives. And what I do is I maintain a diary of mine in the class. If somebody is doing something extraordinary, I just make a note for myself. So as a e-portfolio teacher, we had that liberty to look at that work also. We don't only have to look at the summative, but because there are circumstances when the child might not be able to do the summative or due to any reason. So in those areas, process journal, formatives comes in handy.
Yeah, that really helps. Yes.
Any other questions or queries?
Yeah, but I just want to ask you, you mentioned about PCPO. So are you having PCPO as your regular units also? Or you just give as additional? Like what I mean is, say for MYP 5, I think earlier you mentioned that you deal with them in second term only or one term only. So before November, are you having something which is completely designed by you, or you are focusing only PCPO?
Okay, so as I said, what I said was that in MYP 4, I look at the old PCUPs, and unit 1, I do one of the old PCUP from 2017 or 2018. So I make sure at least 3 PCUPs are done before the final one is released for their batch.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or queries?
else, I think it's time we can move back to the main room. Shall we?
Yes.
Will you be giving some websites for resources and all? Will you be able to give us?
Can you
Can
repeat
you,
your question?
will you be able to give us some websites for the resources if they are available?
Resources of what sort? Like the performances or the resources
Everything.
for
Drama.
ma'am, as far as performances are concerned, because there is a copyright issue involved. So because in YouTube you have ample amount of resources. In terms of unit planning, I've already shared the drive. If I get any resource, I'll put it there. You can access it. I will not be closing the access, so you can access it from there. Also, you can just download it. And trust me, if you just Google, there's Toddle, there's Excited Educator. There are so many people who have done, and Toddle for that matter. And Excited Educators, they have their webinars. If you go to YouTube, there are a lot of webinars happening. So that's how I learned.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I just want those names like Toddle and whatever
Okay.
you're
Yeah,
saying.
Toddle
So
is
that
there,
way.
Excited Educator is there. So what we do is whenever there is a new PCUP that comes in, so we pull in like teachers. There is a WhatsApp group of drama teachers also. So we pull in, if there's somebody has a resource, somebody creates a drive, everybody puts in their resources there. So it's
Can
all
you add us
student
there?
like that. Yeah.
Can you add us there in the drama teachers?
WhatsApp? So what I will do is I will you can Ruchira already,
Invite.
yeah, you are there on the WhatsApp group. I will send the invite link in that WhatsApp group. You can add yourself from there, and I think Ruchira also gave that link.
Yeah, I have also created one group. We all can be in touch. That's the whole idea of this, because I know unit planning cannot
And
be
if
over in
if I
one
find
session.
any useful
No,
resource, I
that
will
is a new
surely
group.
share there.
Yeah, that's a new group, but for drama
I will add.
specifically,
I
if
will
you
add
have a
you
group,
there.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, but this was very good. Like, I mean, of course, it will take a while to
Everything to
everything. Yeah.
sleep in, and
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. It was a very good experience for me also, because I also learned a lot from each one of you, because the queries, there are times when we, after doing it for so long, you forget the basics. So again, going back there, refreshing my memories, it was a very, this and revisiting everything for me also.
Will you be sharing the units?
It was very, very good. Yeah, of course. Maybe maybe sometime in September we can meet again on the same thing, and maybe we would have planned one unit.
Yes.
Then we'll have many stories to share.
Yes, sure. Yes. So I think let's go back to the main meeting.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Please share some units of yours, please.
I will put it there in the drive itself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was.
Yes. So that's nothing else. Yes, Ruchira, I think so. Hand it over to
Okay,
you.
I think first I have to applaud the two of you, Vaishak and Vandana. I think there was a lot of learning for myself as well. It's been a while that, I have spoken about MYP, but MYP Arts is something that is very close to me personally. I'm not sure if people here are aware. I have myself authored a book on MYP visual art. The whole idea of doing that, I'm a math teacher, by the way, and did a book on MYP Arts just to bring in this interdisciplinary understanding, to the audience, and more about understanding each and every requirement of MYP Arts, which is not very clear with the guide. So it's very important that all of us keep collaborating like this, and that is the whole idea of creating the platform called Our Journal Foundation, where we all can get together, learn from each other. There's a lot of learning, I believe, that happened from all the participants as well. So every point that you discuss makes us think about that, why did it happen, how do we give an answer to this, what multiple activities could we do regarding this. So such answers are what we all are seeking for, and I think all of us have one common aim, that we are sitting together here on a Sunday evening and talking about all of this, is that we have to improvise this system for our learners. We have to let the parents know. So such orientations need to happen for parents one-on-one as well. Sometimes when we talk as adults to parents of our kids, they get to understand that yes, there are adults talking about all of this. There is a change that is coming into the education system as well. So let's bring in that change by talking to as many people. Let's keep collaborating. We've formed the WhatsApp group. So let us, promise to each other right now that we'll be active on that group and then keep talking about what is happening around us, what new strategies we have adopted in our classes, what are the new ways, what challenges did we face. If there are case studies that you would want to share, of course the names withheld for of the students, but if you want to share with each other and give each other ideas, let's do that. Let's get together and bring in this change and promote these subjects as subjects and not just as activities. Thank you everyone for contributing to this wonderful cause that we are here in for, and we wish to collaborate further for any certain sessions. If you are any other sessions that you would want us to plan for further, please write to us. We'll plan such sessions. If anyone of you wants to conduct certain sessions and take the lead there, I'll be more than happy to introduce that and then go ahead with that. We look forward to collaborating further. That is what I would want to end the session with. Once again, thanks to Vaishak and Vandana for spending in so much of time for planning this session, for delivering it to the core and addressing each and every query. I know it has gone a bit above the time that we had specified, but I am sure that all the participants have gained something or the other from the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Especially Sukan, Srishti, Jay, and Shubham, I would love to see your planners. You can get it reviewed also. Really looking forward. We had a fantastic SOI construction.
Yeah, and I would be sending my planners to Ms. Bandana as well. Would like to, get a quick review and maybe learn from there. But thank you so much for the session, guys. It was beautiful and looking forward for more. Ms. Suchira, as usual, it was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Great. And thank you, Vandana, for the wonderful session. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you both. Looking forward to more sessions.